Big gap down here for the S&P 500 as global tech weakness continues to impact these U.S. markets. Nasdaq looking very similar here. So both of these gapping to the downside. We'll take a look here at the USO, which is gapping up quite significantly. Apparently more strikes here with the U.S. and Iran both claiming to have struck territory from the other country over the last evening. Lots to get into today in terms of economic data, so we'll do some quick housekeeping here while we're here as well. You've got import and export prices as well as housing starts and building permits at 8:30 a.m. At 9:15 a.m., not a super closely watched print, but you'll get this U.S. industrial production print on a month-over-month basis. And then at 10 a.m., you get by far the biggest print of the day, the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. Now, this also, guys, includes that 1-year and 5-year inflation expectation. So keep an eye here at 10 a.m. Be very aware this number is going to be coming out. We mentioned some tech weakness here, so we'll pull up SMH, pulling to the downside. I was seeing SMH actually poised for its third red week out of the last 4 weeks, so that's pretty significant. Let's talk about another name that's significantly to the downside here. This is Netflix at pre-market lows, down 10% or more on earnings reports that it was a pretty tepid report, and then guidance was going to be a bit of an issue here. You have ISRG, another earnings play in focus this morning, along with Alcoa as well. Reported, we had some names that reported pre-market today as well. If I can type here, this is AA Alcoa. Not too much happening. You've got, as I've mentioned, weakness in a lot of these semiconductor-related plays, with memory chips also weaker, and SpaceX, unfortunately, getting hit pretty hard. Lots to discuss this morning. Good morning and happy Friday, Sharif.
Likewise, Adara. Yes, a lot of red on the board this morning, guys. Most notably at the top of my watch list, Netflix down already over 11%.
Oh.
11.25%. No? Okay, change it over here. Got some issues.
Okay.
Sharif's mic brought to you by Netflix, everybody.
I'm dead serious. Restock. Well, you know what?
Hopefully
the mic brought to you by Netflix. The mic brought to you by the chip names, or basically everything that is down.
We're dropping
What's
the
up
mic
today? USO's up today.
I was looking. Apple.
Volatility's up today.
We have a note on Coke here.
Well, there you go. The
Up
defense.
0.3%. Some name. Oh, here's one. I mean, everyone probably bought this yesterday, so we're all okay. So we don't have to worry about it. CJMB.
Oh, definitely.
Up 42%. So
I went all in on that.
Thankfully, we went all in on this last night, and yeah, now it's up to $1.25. So up 45% today. And of course, I don't even know what this company is.
It's called
Alabama State University to support domestic pharmaceutical manufacturing.
There you go.
Something like that. So yeah, partnership here with the state of Alabama and their university. So nice move higher there on CJMB. But yeah, I think you're right, man. Not much going on here today. DRAM, lots going on, not much going up. DRAM down 3%, and that's someone in the chat says this is getting rammed. I think that's about right here. Getting stuffed to the downside right now, breaking below the 50-period moving average. Our good friend SpaceX is at that 125 magical level here. That we'd hoped that we wouldn't see this early in its existence, and wow, just SpaceX. Guess what? I got it written down again. We'll play the short here on SpaceX at some point. The 200 period was what we'll watch. Right now it's at 130. By the time we open up, it'll be at probably 128. So we're gonna have to watch out for SpaceX here today, as it's just pushing lower during this. It's already done 2 million shares, right? It's only 8 o'clock. So will SpaceX push 5 million shares? What's going to happen here as this name continues to go to the downside here? 5 million shares pre-market is possible. It's breaking right now through 125. So this is a name that is just to the downside, like nothing stopping SpaceX. Now that's quite loud there. Sean, what is going on in Canada? I mean, I don't know. You mean the fires that are going on there? Actually, they're not. Today our air quality is still bad, but it's much better outside.
Way better.
Right now. So we,
better.
A typical Canadian thing to do is we apologize for all the smoke coming into you guys there. But yeah, there's wildfires. There's wildfires that happen down in the States that make their way up to us and everything like that. There's nothing. I wish we could control that a little bit better. There's not like the loss of life or casualty or anything like that.
It's in really remote places, right. Which is also why it's not getting fought by firefighters. Like, nature is going to burn these out because it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Part of it is, that it is part of nature.
It is part of it. It's a natural.
You need to do that. They have controlled burns and everything at High Park here and things like that. So, but yeah, no, it was bad for a little while there. But we're going to start the day off the Nasdaq's down another 2%, and we kept on getting those questions about what do we think is going to happen, and I was just like, pretty much red until we get those Mag 7 reports. Banks came and saved us a little bit over the last couple of days, right? I mean, that they started, thankfully they were hot, right? I mean, if banks came in cool, that this could have been, way more disastrous than what we're seeing right now in the markets. I mean, the ES only down 1% right now. So that's good. XLF still going higher, really, so the bank stocks are here to save the day, it seems like, for now. And actually, I'm surprised that crypto is holding out as well as it is, too, at 63.2. I mean, I know it got to 66, but, considering that we're losing 2 or 3% every day in the Nasdaq, it seems like that's not bad. And then,
I wouldn't be, see, the thing is, I wouldn't be celebrating that too much for crypto.
No,
because of,
thankfully, it's
look how far it's already down. I think that's sort of the thing. It's like, well, it already had its drop, so how much worse can it possibly get? The deal. But I'm a little surprised it didn't take the 60 and get down. I thought this base would be at 50, and it still hasn't happened. But I think the thing is we're at the precipice on a lot of things.
Yeah, we have, here's the NASDAQ right here. It's starting to, lose, right? So you go all the way back to May. So wipe out May, June, July. All those earnings that have come through are now down in the dumpsters. So yeah, join us today. It should be a good one here. We've got the chat going on. We've got to say a hi to Mike Philip DeRider. I don't know if he's the brother or whatever of Mike P. DeRider, but he's here. What's up to Sophie? I'm just loading up that sheet that we have right there. And on here, you can see everybody on TikTok. So there's William, there's Byron, there's Other Zinc. Dr. Wynn is here. August is here. Good morning, Mr. Cameron as well. Miss Funyan. Funyan. Yeah, Reddit. Okay, Reddit. I definitely like some Reddit. I'm going to Reddit and then forget it once I read that thing. But yeah, Reddit. What is Reddit? I actually liked Reddit. What is that note that we have up there? 30 AI stocks down 50%. Where did the money go? Into smarter people's pockets than us, I guess. Yeah, there's Reddit to the downside. You know what? That's pretty, to your point there, Augustus.
You have to remember,
though, talking about where these stocks came from.
When stocks go down 50%, like the value, the money generated from those sales is, there's a lot of trading that goes into it. It's not that the company loses half like the market cap value, like the amount of trading that happens in the way up versus in the way down. There's so many factors that go into it, but there has been rotation, right? So it's not as if all of that money has gone into one place and been redistributed. But if we're being real about it, go have a look at financials. Go have a look at healthcare names, right? There have been places that have been relatively strong, no questions asked. There has been, Apple's at all-time highs. There are things, if you go back and peel it out. I know that we tend to heavily, you'll see more of the charts if you just glance at the show from time to time. You're probably going to see a lot of DRAM and SpaceX and NVIDIA a lot of the times.
Apple's
and you're probably,
3.3.
And the truth of the matter is you're not going to see as often, Apple, obviously we will,
Apple's
but
at
you won't see
333, man.
Eli Lilly, and you won't necessarily see charts of, let's say, like J&J, because they're not going to be as heavily traded, or Procter & Gamble. That's literally no one is day trading. Well, I shouldn't say literally nobody. Almost nobody is going to be day trading a Procter & Gamble. And this is a chance to be a breakout of a stock, which is going sideways and setting up a normal breakout trade. And it's been accumulating for a while. And I think you look where money might go, it might start going into places like this. This could be something that is next. Not a pick, but it's just one I want to throw out there. There's plenty of places where you're seeing this rotation definitely go. There's also one place where the markets are up, and we have to mention it because oil is continuing to trickle higher, USO, with a nice bounce. It went well into bear territory, actually got cut in a third, and is continuing its trend. Potential. It's got a long consolidation pretty much all week, and a break of these highs. Again, this is what you have to watch. If we break out this top, I feel like this time battle has to go with USO just primed. One headline away, good, bad, and different, whatever it might be, could take us through this top here on USO, but it hasn't happened just yet. But we got to watch out for oil futures as well, putting a little strain on the markets. Another red day.
Yeah, here's Reddit as you talked about. Yeah, what's up, Dr. Wynn? Yeah, J&J. We put that in the the portfolio there. I bought some more J&J myself yesterday, and it was going to be one of my picks. We'll discuss all the picks as they get filled out moving forward here. But yeah, there's Reddit. We got that super chat about Reddit right back into the 200 period moving average right now for Reddit. I mean, pretty good, right? We know the large language models are using Reddit to, you know, parse through user reviews and, you know, to get some information from hopefully, you know, forums that are obviously public that, you know, provide you different information when you're asking for opinions or reviews on product or something like that. How to, you know, it's kind of like the YouTube forum kind of base. There's a lot of ways to get questions answered through Reddit. And I like Reddit because I do think that there's an advertising aspect to that hasn't really been unleashed yet. Although if you open up the Reddit app, you're going to see some ads. But, you know, that's kind of par for the course with these social media. I mean, I guess Reddit's a form of social media, you know, getting information that you can't maybe get on mainstream news, right? And so, and then yesterday we had, of course, everyone knew that, you know, Trump was buying those airwaves yesterday, and it was NBC and ABC decided not to air his talk, and CBS did, and I think CNN cut it a little bit, and of course, I just went right over in the last 5 minutes. I don't, CBS cut it the last 5 minutes, I think so did CNN, so I just went over to, guess where, Fox. They kept it going the whole time, and yeah, I was expecting China to be, you know, a little bit of, in a little bit of hurt today, so down 1.6%. And a lot of you did call that, right? They was like, okay, we knew that it was going to be something election related, and, you know, talking about, you know, the major players there. And I didn't read any, I didn't obviously go to whitehouse.gov or whatever and download any of those files. But
you didn't read the files?
No, if I did, I was just going to put it into Claude, or actually I'd never used Claude, put it into something else. But 115 right there for Alibaba. So potentially a name to look at there. Those voting machines, there's a company that does the voting machines. I can't remember what it was, but they're probably down huge, whatever that company is. So yeah, 812 right now. And we have some crazy sounds. I hope it does not come through.
No one's complaining, so it can't be that bad.
I think they've done a good job doing that. Oh yeah, and then we come back today, and, you know, whether or not you're watching, you know, the president last night, that new show, The Hawk there on, and it's not a movie, it's I only saw episode 1 there, 35 minutes an episode, is pretty good, on Netflix. And, you know, Netflix yesterday, we were watching it for the first 5 minutes and it was upside, and then all of a sudden, right when we left you, it was starting to break a little lower, and then there's that break of 71 that we didn't want to see happen. Right into there for Netflix. So there's the break there of 71 bucks. And, you know, now you're downside, down 11%, and not looking any better here for NFLX today. So
I'm not even thinking,
you know, I'm sure we'll be talking about that live on our watch lists. You know, there's tons of information there. Make sure you grab that membership, Sharif's Morning Note, which I don't know if there is one today, because I don't know. Okay, I didn't get it, so I was waiting. So Sharif's Morning Note is still there today. Read it. Wow, I didn't send it to Joe or
I didn't get it either.
Or Neil. Wow, Sharif. Okay. But yeah, it's out. So go grab that if you are a member. No, of course it's all good. Yeah. I just didn't want to say it. I wasn't sure if Sharif was. He's in here every day. I just sometimes maybe didn't get done. But yeah, every day Sharif's trying to get that done for everybody. So that's been a big bonus. So for $5 a month, you get about 12, 15 pages or so of information. And today it's probably loaded up. And oh, here it comes. Sharif just hits me up with it right now. So I'm going to show it to you here, what's involved. I still have yesterday's open on my computer. That's hilarious. Okay. So here we go, man. This is Sharif's Morning Note. And as we had just said right here, the very first story is Netflix. So coming through there, SpaceX, the very next one. And, you know, if you're looking for information about, you know, what's going on with Netflix or anything like that, you zoom in a little bit here. It gives you all the rundown of the quarter. We also have it on our free watches. You can grab that link in description now as well. With just some, I mean, and this is all just AI generated, right? I mean, he's not picking up all of these levels, but he has it all programmed in there, depending if you're looking 15 minutes, 4 hours, the swing trades, you know, potential bias. Here's a trade plan that's sort of been devised for you. And then, you know, execution mindset, which sometimes I try to read. I just give a little bit of an idea of, you know, key levels and where we're looking. And then again, there's the Starship on SpaceX. We talked about that launch not having, well, we didn't talk about it yet, but not super successful there yesterday. And they have to schedule some new Raptors. And I was like thinking that was going to be Kawhi Leonard or something, but I don't know if that's happening anymore.
He might not be around.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait to see about Kawhi. We'll have to wait to see about Starship and all this kind of stuff, because SpaceX today is getting
We said this yesterday.
downgraded naturally.
Everyone's
by
excited
the
about the
markets.
launch, and I was like, look, nothing. Like successful launches are meaningless at this particular point. The only thing that's going to move it is if it's if there's a delay or unsuccessful. That's just how it rolls when you get to this point. So delay it and it goes down further. Had they gone forward with it, we'd basically be down probably like 1.5 or like whatever it would normally be a day like today. Now you're double down because of that. Hopefully we've got these, maybe we have Sharif's mic fixed because now everyone's got the note and we can get back up to this. I know we're going to have Michael Nas come through. It'll be interesting to see his take on the market's turn here because I know he talks heavily about rotation. And Sharif, we already found Callan. It's in the watch list. But I didn't really see anything. I was looking at V to see if it was doing anything here today. What's on your radar outside of that Callan stock?
The dot, Neil, S dot, it's back. It's about 55%. It's trading above VWAP. It's not as cheap as it used to be, though. It's trading at around $22. Good gap overnight. We closed out yesterday at around 14.25, so we're gapping up substantially. $24 double top at the moment, but most notably for me, that $21 level, Adair. That's the volume-weighted average price. It continues to hold that. Let's see if it does by the midday.
Yeah, I already know what Nos is going to talk about here because you guys mentioned it. It's a stock we've already talked about, so stay tuned for that. I want to mention here, though, Netflix, NFLX, because guess people were not tuning in for this stock to the upside. This is still near pre-market lows, actually at pre-market lows here. This report was pretty mixed. The guidance, though, was a real concern for Netflix going forward, Sharif.
There's some concerns here, Dara. Guidance was one of them. Narrow revenue miss, right? How about the 1 penny EPS beat? Or how about, Greg Peters, co-CEO, saying, explicitly emphasizing, actually, that they're trying to move away from these raw watch metrics. Maybe because global view hours only grew 2% year over year, some of the most anemic numbers in the company's history. Despite that, they do intend on buying back shares. $4.7 billion in repurchases in the quarter. That leaves about $27 billion on the current authorization, so that's good for the rest of the year. And how about live television? We've been talking a lot about live television. That was one of the focal points on the call yesterday. They look to spend, they're saying the expanded spending on content is going to grow by 5%, and most of that is going to be on basically live content. But it's only going to generate an expected 1% of views increase, but they're looking to the future for that. Last but not least, they continue to spend a bit more money, and that's hurting their free cash flow at the moment. So we'll have to see how that all works out, Adair, but a bit of a tough look here for Netflix.
You guys looking at Netflix for a trade today?
But Sharif, the last thing is kind of the important one. Like they're at a point right now where it's all about they're trying to move to live to get those views back, but it's 5 times the amount of spend for what you're getting in views, relatively speaking. So they're at a point now where the thing that they're looking to grow is expensive, and that's going to punish them a little bit. We're going to go zoom it out first because Netflix, from just a monthly perspective, this is a very intriguing spot for Netflix. But it's a monthly chart, and it's the 17th. So you hear Michael Noss will say the same thing. Like there's a lot of time for this to absolutely lose, and well, it's already lost $70, and we're trading at 66. We are underneath the 50 period on the monthly, right? Because this is not indicating the 66 that we're down. So you could easily have it hold this level by the end of the month, and then you'll have a monthly chart that shows a bounce at the start of next month, and it looks like in a good bounce spot. We're not at that point yet. Like we're still in the inside in the middle, so I don't want to think about the dip buy in the long term or anything like that. It flat bottom broke. It's been trend down. It's actually trending down pretty cleanly in the pre-market, which does set up a few things. It's follow trend, short VWAP. The pre-market high also works out to the wick low on the initial push down. That's about 67.5. So there's like a couple of good levels to look at here for a short pop situation. If it's out and about above the pre-market highs, that's one of those back away SSR kind of deals. So yeah, I am looking to short pops on Netflix here today. I don't want to be stubborn about it. And I'm not thinking about that, like this level holding on the monthly until we get into August. West Palm Beach trades. Yeah, this SK Hynix not looking so good.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, insert like, chip name there. We talked about AMD the last couple of days. And as I said, man, I had Brian Shannon on here when AMD was at 550, and I was like debating to myself to sell it, and I should have done that. But SK Hynix actually flat today, so I'm going to take the opposite side of that. Is looking so good today, considering what the market's doing. So SK Hynix, I mean, I don't love the name. There was obviously some sort of an imbalanced situation here yesterday that absolutely tanked this thing into the close. Like, you were 156 down to 151. So it's a little misleading, the fact that we are flat today, because honestly, it should be down. Like, if we had ended the day, 10 minutes earlier yesterday, we would have, landed around 156. Then you'd be down to 152. The issue is where we closed yesterday was a little bit of a battle back. So yeah, I think I'll take back what I said back there, because it's definitely not looking good. Like, you're about to break through this 150 on SK Hynix, and when it does that, that's when some more emotional damage, breaking back below 150, because wasn't that the price for SK Hynix? Because it came out at 170. It was 149, right? Was the IPO price was 149, I believe, for SK Hynix, and I can probably ask Adair and she would confirm that, but
Confirmed, yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
oh wow, you could hear me back there? Okay, I was like,
was that? No, I guess you couldn't hear me because I was saying it. That's why I put on the mic. But
yeah, okay, good. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, so 149. Yeah, so that was a price that we're gonna have to watch out for today. So I'm gonna add this again. I mean, I'm tired of putting the same names on here, but honestly, man, when you're making money, you stick with what you're doing. And we've never had a day where we lost on SpaceX, and yesterday was an awesome day for SPCX where we were short. 2 days ago, we were short 139, and yesterday we were short right into here off the open, 137. 136.50, 137, and that closes 131. That was a $6 winner at the end of the day, and I think we could do the same thing here again today. We just got to be patient with it. You didn't need to make this trade yesterday on SPCX until 10 to 10:30 is when the levels sort of developed, or you use the high level, which is great too. That's about 9:45. So I think for SK Hynix, just because we got that super chat, and I know we're going to talk, we will talk a lot about Netflix and all that kind of stuff, but this is interesting because of that super chat. You are downside right here. Look at the same kind of trade there, 10-15 or so. Again, wait for the noise to settle, give a level, then you can hit that to the downside. Even more levels right there at 164. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity. And if Micron's down, SK Hynix is going to be down. Check out SanDisk, I imagine, as well to the downside. That's why we talk about DRAM. I mean, you can sort of pick and choose. There's no real individual stories that are going to help prop these names up, right? Like ARM is down to $200 again. Marvell's broke below 200 now to 185. Like Marvell, we were able to get some out very, very thankfully and fortunate to get some out at 330 on Marvell. That's, and again, talked about it live on the show. I'm not somebody that's going to sit here and tell you, like, I bought this stock 2 weeks ago and I sold it 2 weeks ago. Like, if I get out of something, I'm going to tell you, like, I bought Qualcomm at these levels live on the show. We bought, yesterday we bought J&J here as well. But Marvell, another one of those names, and we got out of all of our ARM, thankfully, looking to maybe buy some more in on that one. But look at this. Like a huge move down now for Marvell. Not even close, really, to the 200 period. You still got 50 more bucks to go. So I was saying this in the beginning when I sat down today. Everybody's so smart when stocks are going up. It's when it comes down is when you're really tested. And where did you sell out? And that's why yesterday I wanted to talk to Steve Tileman there yesterday and ask him, like, where is your breaking point? Because I'm tired of, honestly, hearing all these talking heads just go blah, blah, blah all the time. Like, oh, I was out up here, thankfully. And it's like, okay, well, what got you out? Because we have people on here that love playing breakouts, but then they say, oh, when it's failed, they just get out. So they could be rapid traders and getting in and out. But honestly, a lot of us will hold stock, and you got to make a decision at some point. And so the 50 period, I think, is a great little area that at least Steve mentioned it to us. There are some stocks that hang around the 50 period moving average. I'm sure I'll think of some. I think Amazon was doing okay these days, holding in and around. I mean, I know Meta's broken out. So Amazon, wow, sometimes I'm smarter than, I can't remember some levels. I can't remember what I had for dinner yesterday, but we somehow remember that Amazon was right there at 248. And so, like, here we go. So this is the question I should have asked Steve right here. If you're long on Amazon, do you sell it now because you broke that maybe with conviction, right? And then when you do, it just rips back to the high side. So that's why I think, Neil, we talked about it selling pieces.
I think there's a difference.
So you're not getting out of everything.
Steve, what's good about Steve is he'll talk about the trade. He's in the trade, and it's like, yeah, he was in ARM for the trade and didn't sell at the top because he was giving it room to try to rally. But the 50 periods where you get out that last, like, I love that mode. Like, to me, ARM is like in the long term. I have like my rules are just they're what they are. Like, if it's a long-term holding, I pretty much will sell like 10% and then 10%. And typically, if I like it, I'm not trimming more than 20. To get me to trim 30% of something usually would have to be extreme. Like, do I wish that I had sold more shares of ARM? Like, I've been in the ARM game almost as long as I could have been. Obviously not as long as I needed to be, but that's breaking down heavily. And I am thinking 200 period buy to get those, because that 10 and 20% you sell, at some point the idea is to get that money back into the market. Maybe it's not an ARM, but that's what I'm looking for. We're all looking for some options ideas here with Joey himself. There's a million places this can go because volatility is through the roof. Let's see what he's got for us.
One place it's going to go here, Neil, is Micron. Potentially $800 is the strike price that we're going to be looking at here, guys. I mean, we're not too far away from this level, 820 and change there. But what we're going to look at is the open interest at this specific contract, 14,000. That's the most amount of supply that I've seen through multiple expiration cycles. So let's see if this can hold up. The stock's already off of the highs around 30+%. Now, as for the bid and the ask, relatively cheap here, guys, $90, right? We were looking at, at times $200 spreads on Micron. Now, considering it's a slightly OTM contract, $13 there, guys, at your delta, and almost no gamma exposure. That will accelerate after and grow as soon as we get closer to at the money. But as Neil was pointing out, implied volatility is definitely starting to ramp up, 107% here on Micron. Moving forward, we're going to be looking at Netflix. Sharif, Netflix, $74 strike price. Yes, this is a completely out of the money contract here, guys. But one thing that we want to focus on is why are we looking at this? A supply zone at that $74 marker. And if you look at yesterday's high, you can see we reject that. 29,000 contracts, so we'll look at that as gamma exposure there and a complete call wall at 29,300 contracts. Now, as for the volume, 19,800 there, guys, open and closed on yesterday's session, and a $10 spread. The delta sitting relatively high considering it is an OTM, but you have to take into consideration the close. And let me know in the chat, guys, have you had the ability to open and close your contracts post 4 o'clock? It should be going till 4:15 now, and I believe you'll have the ability to start derivatives trading a little bit earlier now as well too. I believe it's around 8 o'clock to 9:25 is going to be the pre-market action for options. Now, as for your gamma exposure, you're going to be sitting on $4, but the at the money IV, considering the earnings report here, guys, sitting at 227%. That's quite substantial. But one thing that we will note, 22% gain in this specific contract itself, but it's going to lose the majority of its value and probably then some to the tune where it's going to be expiring worthless by the end of the session. Now, that's some nice premium that you can collect if you did happen to write these contracts at the end of the day, $3.25 at the bid, guys. So that's going to be the collector's premium right there. Majority of that value, we'll take a look after the open, it's probably going to be diminished. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
Yeah, we're going to set it up here first because we actually do have, we're going to have Mr. Michael Noss, as always, coming on here at 8:30 a.m. to talk about a pretty interesting stock I think a lot of you guys are going to be interested in here, maybe even invested in. But we'll start with these economic numbers. We do have 4. So we're going to have here U.S. import prices coming out here at 8:30 a.m. Negative 0.7% is the forecast, 1.9% is the prior print. Export prices here, so that was import prices. Export prices, negative 7% forecast as well. Prior print, 1.3%. Housing starts, 1.31 forecast here. Prior print, 1.177 million, so 1.31 million forecast, 1.17 million prior. And then the other one we're going to look for is building permits. That's 1.403 million versus 1.41 million prior. So a lot of these we're expecting, other than housing starts, I think mostly expecting kind of gains here for building permits, everything else here very likely to decline. That number going to come out in just 30 seconds here, guys. We also have at 10 a.m. University of Michigan consumer sentiment. Just to give a reminder, this is a preliminary print for July. We are expecting a bit of an uptick here from that June print. 5-year and 1-year inflation expectations here are also going to be in focus. 3.3% forecast here for the 5-year, and the 1 year here, 4.4% forecast. That's not going to be till 10, the University of Michigan prints, but just to prepare you guys, lots of economic data in focus today, to be sure. We're just a couple seconds out here from these import, export, housing, and building numbers, which should be coming out at any moment here. So you get export prices negative 0.6% versus estimates of that negative 0.7%. Import prices positive 0.3% versus negative 0.7% expected. Housing starts 1.427 million here versus 1.31 million expected. So that's going to be quite a beat. Building permits, though, slight miss, 1.367 million versus 1.403 million. Lots of data there to digest, Sharif.
Good economic numbers. We'll keep an eye out on them. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about the rate interest environment. With the increasing price of oil again, we get that headline number scare. So let's keep an eye out on this. Adara, the Fed's got their work cut out for them the rest of the year.
Yeah, and again, we'll get a little bit more context as well at 10, but providing some context on a specific stock today, and I think generally approach to this type of move, is Mr. Michael Noss. As you can tell, I'm very excited for this topic today, but let's start. How are you? And good morning, Michael.
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys over there? Is everything? I wanted to reach out because I'm hearing the news of all the fires. Those are hopefully far away.
As far as we know, I mean, they smell sometimes kind of close, the smoke, but I think we're all doing pretty well over here. Okay. Let's get right into this. Be safe. Oh, pardon?
I was just saying, we'll be safe out there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And same goes to everybody out here, wherever you are. Let's talk here about a stock here, SPCX. And capitulation. Let's get right into it, Michael.
Yeah, and this is something I've been doing more and more, which is I'm calling like semi-discretionary trades. I need to come up with a better term for it, but a little bit of technical analysis, a whole lot of statistics, and because the kind of processes I put together and the data that I have and the back testing that I have makes this a little bit easier, that when you see an event like we've been seeing in SpaceX, just getting hammered day after day after day, you can start to ask some interesting questions to see, is there any kind of an edge in a trade you can take? Before someone may just look at an indicator value and say, hey, this is, now it's oversold, so maybe I should buy some, but we can do better, right? And this is kind of how I am looking at the market all the time through a kind of stats lens as opposed to just the market. But first of all, right, here's the chart. If you missed it, it's just been getting killed for a while here now. And what was really interesting to me is this RSI value, and it's small on the bottom there, but just showing that the RSI2, which is, there's a very famous trading strategy using a 2-period RSI. Larry Connors invented it like 50 years ago, and people are still trading it today, using this short-term RSI value to really determine the short-term kind of buy and sell areas. Now, if you've ever studied RSI, under 30 is generally considered oversold, and we are at 2. So it really can't get any lower than it is right now. I guess in theory, you could go to 0. I don't know if I've ever seen an RSI rating of 0. So as oversold as we could possibly get on this one, and then gapping down. They had they backed off from a launch or something, and as I look, we're down 4% or so. And that kind of made me think, okay, is there any kind of an edge here that I can exploit? These trades are scary, so I like the statistics to kind of make me feel a little bit better and to back up what I'm doing. So this next chart is a bar chart of essentially what happens, not to SpaceX because there's not enough data on SpaceX, but what I did is I grabbed the entire Nasdaq 100, which now this is a Nasdaq stock, and I went back years. I went back to 2010 to 2026, so 16 years of data, and said, okay, when we get an RSI value this crazy, like 2 or less, and then we get a gap down, what generally happens to that stock? And is this a kind of capitulatory event? And you can see that the kind of faded green, but the more kind of whitish line, that's kind of the baseline of what happens if you just buy a random stock in the NASDAQ 100 and you hold it for, same day, and then the next one's 2 days, or 1 day, 2 days, and 1 week. And you can see the baseline is like 50-50, right? A little bit, maybe an edge there, very slightly. However, based off of this indicator value and the gap that we're getting, you can see the same day there's a 66% chance we close higher than the open. 2 days later, there's a 75% chance we close higher than the open. And those stats sound amazing, and they are, but it's just important to keep in mind that 75% correct means 25% wrong, right? So every 10 trades you take, you're going to lose on 3 of them. So it's important to have a plan. But that's the first thing that kind of stood out my eyes. The next one is, this is just ranking by gaps. So if the gap's small, if it's around 1%, there's really not much edge. 1 to 3%, maybe a little bit of edge. But then this over 3% gap down, this is where the edge really comes from. Again, in these large Nasdaq 100 stocks. Now, the next chart is just ranking them by kind of cohort year, because I wanted to see, for example, was this all COVID? Like, did COVID, really kind of skew the results, which is important. This is one of the benefits of being a trader and sitting here and watching this stuff, is because if you trade during COVID, everything got really oversold and then had an incredible bounce. But no, if you do 2010 to 2019, the stats hold, and then 2021 onwards, the stats still hold with a 64% chance up in that kind of 2-day period, which is great. So that just proves that it's not like an artifact of kind of the COVID era. So the next one here is going to talk about kind of the actual trade mechanics. So if we put a stop, we're putting about an 8% stop on this one. And that's just from the testing, roughly what you want to risk. So when I'm sizing my trade, I have to have a stop. So I know if SpaceX drops another 8%, we could say 10% just to keep it easy. So $13 or $12 at this point down. I know I'm going to get stopped out around 17% of the time, and I'm going to win around that 60% of the time. And then the other ones, I will be wrong, but the time will have gone by in the meantime. That's why the 67 and 17 don't really equal. And my expectancy is, half an hour. So, say 3 to 5% gain on this one. So the last one is just the chart of the rules of the trade. And the main takeaway, right? I'm not telling you guys to do this trade. I'm going to do this on the open, but you guys obviously do whatever you want. But this is just a great way to use technology, to use statistics to kind of back up what you're seeing in the market. So you have this kind of framework that I don't have to guess what I'm doing with SpaceX today. The stats are, you buy the gap down, you hold for 1 to 2 days, maybe a week. If you want to hold on a little bit longer with about a 116 stop loss, and then you're targeting either a gap fill would be interesting if we got back over that 31 where we're gapping down. If we got back to 140 where we had support for a long period of time, that support could end up as resistance. So you can see how you just have an idea, and a lot of traders would just say, well, it looks oversold, so I'm going to buy it. And without this kind of statistical framework around the trade, you're kind of playing a little bit more off of vibes. And so when people say they're a quant and they're using statistics to trade, it's more or less this kind of thing, right? Is there an edge that I can prove? Yes, so I'm going to take the trade. I'm going to know what my stop loss is. I'm going to know that I'm going to be wrong, quite often, right? 3 to 4 out of 10 trades I'm going to be wrong on, and that's okay. But the entire plan is set out for me. So all I have to do now is execute. I don't even have to think about what I'm going to do next.
Yeah, awesome analysis there, and thank you, as always, for going over that. So I have one kind of, question or point of clarification that I want to make here. So I know that you've said, hold for 1 to 2 days, and I know the statistics went up to how it holds after a week. So I guess just to kind of clarify for our audience out there, this is more of like a shorter term swing trade, correct?
Yeah, it's a quick hit because you notice the risk is around 10%, but also the reward is only a little bit more than that. So we're not playing, the long game where we're trying to make many times what we, when we're right than when we're wrong. This is something that we know that there's a small statistical edge on. So we just want to take a quick hit trade, see if we can, benefit off that edge and then move on. So this wouldn't be like a core kind of trading principle. I kind of look at these as every now and then someone, leaves a couple bucks on the ground, and I'll see if I can reach out and grab it.
That's fair. makes a lot of sense. I guess another question too, just for parameters for those trying this at home. I know you mentioned that RSI of 2 or less. So just to clarify, This is not something that should necessarily be tried with above a 2 RSI.
No, and I'd have to test it, right? If I never seen a long-term RSI get that oversold, but if people want to look it up, it was published in the 70s, but it was Larry Connor's 2-period RSI strategy, and it was essentially a way to buy stocks like this that were depressed in value. So when I was looking at this chart, that was one of the ones I went to because it's all about gaining confidence, I guess, in the trade, and to be able to take the trade based off of the way you have laid out, you have to be confident in it. And what helps me with confidence, I know not only have I tested it on the entire Nasdaq 100 for 16 years, but I know that this particular strategy that I'm running with it is something that has existed since 1970. So there's some amount of kind of historical precedent that something like this will work. And then all of that work, which I think is kind of the crux of this, to come up with something that's going to be right 2 out of 3 times, if that. So, you can do all the work in the world, but then at the end of the day, you just have to raise your hands and say, sometimes I'll be right, sometimes I'll be wrong.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much to Michael Noss, CMT at Stats Edge, for that awesome research and awesome content. You can find him with us every Monday and Friday at 8:30 a.m. Have a good one, Michael. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Fantastic stuff as always by Mr. Michael Noss. Make sure you guys join us Monday morning, 8:30 sharp. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off with some downgrades. A lot of red across the board here. Netflix down over 10%, guys, going from a strong buy to a market perform here. Now with a $115 price target by Raymond James. And then we have Distribution Solutions, a little bit more of a quiet one here on the downgrade side of things. We're down 2 1/4, guys, going from an outperform to a market perform with a $35 price target. Now Options Care also getting the downgrade too, guys. 2% to the sell side, overweight to an equal weight with a $24 price target. That is down from $30. Now, Sonic Automotive down 1.4%, going from a buy to a neutral with no specific price target there, guys. Moving forward, let's take a look at some more positive things. United Health Group getting the nod. You're up about 1/4%, going from an underweight to a neutral weight here with a $453 price target. That's up substantially from $287. Now we have United Airlines, guys, another name that reported overweight with a $190 price target, up from $185. We are slightly negative this morning. Morgan Stanley giving that price target increase. Now, as for PayPal, guys, going from an underweight to an equal weight with a $55 price target, we are down 1 1/3 this morning. And then EchoStar down 1 3/4, going from a market perform to a strong buy, guys, with a $115 price target. Raymond James giving them that nod. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks to Michael as well. One of those upgrades had a nasty candle yesterday on the daily, and it's UMich. Good day. Well, obviously, the earnings were good. It's been trending going into it, but that's a pretty decent pullback that it did yesterday. Basically sold off, just profit taking, and the market didn't help. So many things were headed to the downside. You would have thought maybe with some rotation, the rotation aspect of it would have got this one to the upside, but just slipping on back to the daily chart. Given the 3-day rule, the 50-period moving average becomes interesting for this. Certainly, it already had a range off the lows where it held about 390, and that's a pretty key price for it. So the next couple of days, this looks very spicy for bounce play. Give the 3-day rule, 390 to 400 on UMich. It did have to work yesterday in terms of coming back into that level. You could see a little bit more today. And I was trying to find it, but I'd swear I saw somebody upgraded ASTS, and it wasn't just in my brain. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Adara. Didn't make the list there, but imagine ASTS got an upgrade today, and they're seen as favorable relative to Rocket Labs, despite it getting absolutely woodshedded on their offering yesterday. Still think this one's falling. The 50 level going to come into play, though.
Yeah. ASTS was $130 at the beginning of June, and when SpaceX came through and we were yelling to sell that thing. Now it's $52 ASTS, down 70% in a month and a half. Okay. Yeah, just brutal price action there. Yeah, just to talk about what Michael was talking about there with SpaceX. I mean, like I've been saying, if you go back, and I can pull out a sticky note, and we've been really looking short and been really hitting this name. So I think we just continue. I don't know what that RSI level was. Like, I don't think it's at 2 at the daily, so I'm not sure exactly what that was, but you have to rewind, I guess, to get that figured out. But right here, 140 breaking back down below. We'll have to wait to see what happens. 125 right now. I mean, I guess it's going to break. We have the low as 124.99. I'm going to assume that broke already. I had what will break. I had wrote down 130 as a short, and we talked about just because again, like when we start the show at 8 a.m., you know, the 200 period is there. I have to do a better job of, you know, trying to. I said maybe we'd be at 128 by the time we started the show. But I also like to look a little longer term here. So the 200 period moving average is right here, and that's at 134 on your 5-minute chart. I don't think we're going to bump up $10 or anything like that from here. So I wrote down 130, which was basically where we had gotten into yesterday, right before the close. So I think a 130 short for me on SpaceX is something that we'll be looking at. And then we will have to double check what the imbalances are out with, right? I mean, right now there's nothing because it's not Nasdaq related imbalances. You only have New York or Amex. So this can come out a big sell. Like right now, there's a lot of buys happening here. So that's a little bit surprising to me. But again, Pfizer was actually moving higher today. So that makes sense. That's a buy. We talked about some of the banks still holding out some of their highs as well. That looks like that's going to be okay today. JP Morgan flattish on the day and just giving back a little bit off their earnings as well. So JP Morgan coming back in, and then J&J, like some of these sector rotation plays starting to get on the watch list here. But, you know, thinking about this imbalance locator is 925 is when NASDAQ comes out. So we'll have to wait to see if there's anything on there. Netflix is going to be a top story for us to talk about as well there. And then you mentioned USO. Yeah, Alphabet down another 1.5, I think today, 1.5% or so on Alphabet. But it's USO if you're looking for some strength, right? And again, I'm only talked about it. I didn't actually execute it. And I just recently got out of all of my XLE. That was yesterday because I had said that this move came way too far too fast. And I wish I would have actually bought something on that dip. We looked at XOM, we looked at CVX. But now that we're coming back to the upside, I dropped all of it. I don't really want to be in energy. I know we had Steve Talman come on yesterday and say energy does have you know, a good possibility of rebounding back to the upside. I just think there's so much value in these other longer term plays that I want to hold on to that I'm not really a dividend guy right here for energy. I'd rather take a dividend in a stock like a J&J, a stock like a Qualcomm, things like that. So yeah, right now we dropped out of all of our XLE, so I'm now out of that one, and we'll wait to see what winds up happening moving forward now with USO up another 2% today. So hey man, it looks like oil's trying to get back through that 50 period moving average. And again, if you're long, we talked about it, that would be a good spot to get out. Just like if you're short, when it breaks, it might be a good spot to get out. Maybe it's a good spot to think about emptying some of the clip here on energy. I did yesterday, so.
Full clip. Full clip. Full, not empty the full clip. Maybe you just discharge a few rounds if you want to take some profits. Yeah, that could be something that you could do. While we're using the analogy, I mean, why not? Hopefully, we don't have to make that decision on Alphabet at the 200 period moving average. That would be the hope. But after the delay of Claude 3.5, sorry, July 3.5, why is Claude in my head? I haven't used that in forever. Nah, you could be headed toward it. It didn't hold on to 350 yesterday. You're down now. It was 1.5. Now we're like 2.5 downside. Next week, we're going to get that. It looks like we're going to get that test next week at 330. So I think that's a good looking bounce spot here for Alphabet. It just kept dropping and dropping in the afternoon show. Little muted bounce at the end of the day, but flat bottom breakish here on Alphabet. There are some, oh, wait a minute. There we go. I was going to tell you how, you know, Apple, at least in the Meg 7, making those all-time highs. We did that poll, and Apple was number 1 and Alphabet was number 2. But there you go. Super chat from the Pepe Billionaire. Pepe Billionaire. Hey, why not?
Pepe.
I'm more of a fart coin kind of dude, but I have no idea about fart coin. That's just something Michael would say, and so why not? But congratulations if you're a Pepe Billionaire. Why not? How about the SQQQ here? Anytime no one says, if you don't say anything, the assumption is that you're always thinking long. That's just the way I look at it, right? So obviously the SQ is going to be inverted, so you're looking for market continuation to the downside. Trend is your friend till the end when it bends. That being said, I always look specifically under the hood and try to look at individual names. I think there's a little bit of edge there. That's why I like trading silver, IBIT, chips, like that's where it's going to be. One thing to consider, it is Friday, it is end of the week. My gut is telling me that we're going to have some relief off the open, right? I feel better about it there being pops to short than the other day, specifically because it's going to be Friday and we have had that sell-off going into the week. So I think you're going to have to weather a little bit of that off of the open, especially in some of the more depressed places. Like DRAM is one place I'm looking for that. I think you get all the way back into prior lows before any kind of a fade. We saw this play out yesterday where it was trend down. It's trend down all pre-market, and then it ramped right into the pre-market highs and then faded. So this came back and went 2 to 2.5% up going into the open, then dipped, then bounced again and put another lower high. So yeah, the buying has been coming in to give you the short opportunities as opposed to just sort of sitting in it either at the open or right now. So I'm going to be very patient with the continuation plays because that's what worked. Like you had to wait for it to get up to some key levels.
Like yesterday, one of the biggest trades was shorting of the futures. So yeah, we'll try to be in that again here today. Yeah, I mean, I can show you yesterday. I mean, I think Joe and I will be the ones that will trade a futures product. And if you just look over here, every day, I mean, yesterday, for example, I had TQQ short 74, right? I mean, here's the trade that happened, and it actually started to go a lot lower. So try to be a little patient with it. We didn't get involved yesterday until 10 o'clock. Where we finally found some levels. We talked about those earlier levels. That's where we shorted SpaceX and some of those other names. We had Apple with a great runner there yesterday as well to the north side. But yeah, there it was, man. The future is downside, and every day. Here's SpaceX trade yesterday, boom to the downside. So if you want to check out some of these like positions that we'll put on and see what kind of damage we can do, go over here at Trader TV. Sean, his sticky note is actually now out today. Go check it out, and we'll talk about it when we get back and start to talk about some of the different symbols. But if you want to go check it out, I'll put it in the chat there. It's sticky note, over 6,000, 7,000 views a day. So if you guys are able to go grab it, do that and give me a shout on what you guys like. But yeah, yesterday, man, we wrote down TQQ 74 short, and we had right into here. I just showed you guys, man. We had this 72.50 short, now 66 today. So, the printer's still coming. Yesterday, we wrote down Intel short. We had Intel short. This is what it's doing today as well. So just bleeding down. We had Intel short right up here yesterday in this area, $100. Boom, down to $92 today. So that's 8% on your head right there. We just talked about with SpaceX. We had that short yesterday at 137 on SpaceX short. Yesterday's sticky note was just littered with all shorts. So thank you for asking about the SQQ. Today we've got some different ideas on there, but you got to go check it out for yourself. We'll show it on the show very, very soon. SpaceX for now holding 125. And yeah, AMD is going to be a disappointment for me because we should have got out. What was that, Sharif? There should be. I agree with that. Right now, 480 to the downside here for AMD. I mean, we've been, damn it, man, like trying to. I've gotten some out of AMD, but nothing really up into here. And now you're starting to break lower. So there we go, man. Break 50 period with conviction. See you later, AMD to the downside. And I've been honestly all week been talking about this, shorting this thing at 560. Just the whole time was like, why every other name is dropping, but not Advanced Micro Devices. And there it goes. So we will pat ourselves on the back and take a victory lap on this one. This short, this was the one that we had sort of talked about, and there it goes to the downside. It's Advanced Micro Devices. So there you go. Call finally turning out here for us. But Advanced Micro Devices downside. We'll see if there's some battle back. I mean, you got to wait for earnings to come through on many of these names. But wow, Advanced Micro Devices has a long way to go here right now that it's broken below. So. All right, we can go back over to the desk. Thank you for all the super chats. Keep it coming. We want to give, again, a big shout out. We only have a few more minutes left, but shout out to everybody that's here today. If you're on TikTok, what's up to Icon right here? Do we trade gold? Not really. Everybody else that's on here, man, thank you for being here all day, every single day with us. So, yeah, we just appreciate everybody that's here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, get into the chat, right? Sometimes there are, like yesterday, we had over 40 super chat, over 40 memberships dropped in there.
You never know when you're going to get a free one.
You never know. So you got to get into that subscription and, get part of the chat. There's only 20 or so people in the chat. I even see it in the midday, it's like 25 people or something. But
the ones that are in
back
there,
and forth, yeah.
The ones that are in there at the moment when a membership gets dropped, like so, it's like KC. The last time I think it was KC and a few other people have. They dropped like 20 memberships or 10. It's whomever is in the chat at that moment that's enabled gifts. and it just gets distributed, randomly distributed. So you can get that benefit, but you got to be in there. So you hit that subscribe, you jump in the chat. Maybe you tell us what symbol you're interested in. Maybe you type $Netflix, and Netflix shows up. Maybe you type $stack, which is if you're a small cap trader and you're interested in this one, what goes up must come down. I was just checking this out because I saw the drop, and I'm like, maybe there was like an offering or something crazy to have this one lose everything. I don't actually see anything, but this is one of the reasons why you want to be in the chat, so you can be abreast of what's happening. Give us ideas of what to look at. Maybe we're not seeing it. I don't know what SLND is. Maybe that's a good one to watch. But SpaceX, Netflix, Reddit, those all make sense. Stack was a small cap gapper, and now it is a small cap crapper. For sure. So I promise you, Sharif, this one ain't on your radar anymore, but maybe Luis was looking at it. What goes up must come down.
What goes up must come down. Right now, though, as we know, a lot of these Meg 7 names gapping now. We're going to talk about Apple in a minute, but I want to mention this story in Amazon. It's not moving like at all on it, but just so you guys are aware, I'm seeing that the Zoox unit of Amazon has apparently recalled its self-driving vehicles because there's an issue with them being able to detect or respond to heavy smoke. So make of that what you will. The stock's not really moving, but I think worth a mention. AAPL, though. You've got a couple different stories here. You have an upgrade, but you also have this Financial Times report here on Apple continuing to investigate OpenAI with that lawsuit.
Yeah, a legal dragnet era of sorts here. So Apple estimates about 400, give or take, of its former employees are now working at OpenAI of all different levels. What they've done is they've sent out legal demand letters for the preservation of evidence to 40 of those 400, so about 10%. And the idea here is for them to preserve evidence for discovery, where, to be quite honest with you, this case is going to be made. Now, the letters focus heavily on the electronic footprint of an individual by the name of Chang Liu. He is the one that supposedly exploited this network patch that allowed him to download previously unobtainable kind of technical designs by Apple. And he wrote to a colleague, quote, LOL, I found out I can access the network storage. So funny, while he downloaded simultaneously unreleased hardware specifications. These are allegations. They're not proven in court. There's also the other individual, Tang Tan. He is OpenAI's chief hardware officer. And he's being alleged here to have conducted the interviews to elicit some of the 400 or so former Apple employees that work at OpenAI. But the key thing here is he told them to bring in actual parts, digital prototypes, and CAD files from Apple's IP, directly into their OpenAI interviews for kind of illicit show and tells. Again, allegations, unproven. So we'll have to see how that cookie crumbles, but you mentioned the other HSBC upgraded era, a buy from hold, raising the price target from 260 to 366. They say, look, Apple's better positioned than the hyperscalers because they only spend about 2.5% of their revenue over their sales, on CapEx, where it's much higher everywhere else. They look at a strong multi-year hardware roadmap. They highlight, the upcoming iPhone Fold as well as the newer products era that we're expecting from Apple.
Yeah, and just getting back to the lawsuit, those two individuals that Sharif mentioned, they're both actually explicitly named as defendants alongside OpenAI and IO Products, of course, the Johnny Ive company. So interesting look there for OpenAI in that lawsuit. Apple, guys, thoughts?
Apple, well, I mean, we've been hitting
Better
Apple
than
like,
quiche.
we just got, Randy just showed us these are the worst breakfasts that we get right here. But by far, yeah.
Why are we hating on quiche?
Because it sucks. All right, so here's the
That's good
320
quiche,
break.
fine.
We had this 320 break on Apple earlier this week, so that was a great trade, breaking above that 320. That was a good one. We had that. We had Apple yesterday as well on the long, and we got a super chat. Someone saying they thanked me for this long on Apple yesterday, and I think it's going to be potentially a long again here today. I mean, all of these levels we just kept on increasing all morning, and Apple really starting to break out. It broke out at that 320 level. So there it goes up to 333. But you may be surprised to know that for the first time this week, we have Apple right here as a short. So I want to watch that 332 level. And the reason why I think it could be a short is just how far we've come over here. Breaking down off its most recent highs is a possibility for Apple. Look, I mean, I like the stock for sure. It's probably now my largest holding just because of where it's gone. And I was actually checking that out yesterday. Google and Apple sort of going back and forth there. And now with Meta making that most recent jump up, that's part of the story now again. And which is why I just was like, you know what, there's only a few stocks I really even want to hold. And I think I have like 70 different names in my account. It's absolutely insane. But, you know, Apple right here trying to go break through this 333. I just want to see if it does do that here this morning. And I'm just looking at this 332 breakdown. It's not even like a big level. It's just where we sort of closed yesterday. Was it in around 3250, 332.50? So I was thinking about this kind of a break. And, you know, if the market doesn't hold this morning, which doesn't really look like it's going to, I just could see some profit taking coming back in for Apple. That's all. I mean, you know, you're one Min Chi Kuo, report away from this coming back down to the downside. Oh, Apple's no longer considering Chinese RAM downside, you know, and they're going to do this story just so they can get long. There's a lot of people that have, you know, missed this ride up. There's people that used to call this one, Sharif, the dead one. But man, is it woken up from the dead. And now it's just like absolutely a monster. And, you know, this name was, again, like, you know, when you're talking about it in the $1 trillion club here, this move from 275 back in June the 26th goes all the way up to 335. Like, that's a monster move for this name. We don't have any earnings. We don't really have anything that's sparking this other than the fact that it's kind of a flight to safety, right? I mean, we know the demand is there. We know the service revenues continue to go higher. We do get a little bit concerned that the fact is these iPhones are going to get more expensive. All their products are going to get more expensive. They talked about the iPad getting more expensive. But yeah, Apple right here, been a great stock. I just think it's probably a little too far too fast. And that's kind of, you know, what we talk about here. And so playing momentum right now for Apple's been great on these last couple weeks. I just wonder today, and it's only today, down 2% here in the Nasdaq, Apple flat. Hey, you're trying to sell some positions to gain some cash. You know, I wonder if Apple's primed for that. So I'm going to be watching 332. And I marked it down on the note that we have to be very patient with this. You know, this is not one where it hits 332 and we smash the short. Like, that could be a great long spot as well. So I wrote down, and we're going to see if we can hold out to this, 945. I don't want to make any trades in this one in the first 15 minutes. But I do like Apple, and, you know, I may switch up and go long. Let's see what the futures do. But too far, too fast, I think, for Apple.
I think a lot of times it's like you have a situation where the Fed was looking at raising. Now it's going to be pretty much a nothing burger. We've got the ongoing conflict, so no one knows when that's going to end. Everyone's trying to find, okay, well, maybe we got to shift to dividend, maybe we got to shift to safe growth, and safe growth really just means Apple. Like, they're at the epicenter, right? Like, when you're chasing growth because you need returns, tech is usually where you go. But if everybody in tech is spending too much money and valuations are stretched, and you're really concerned about the bubble bursting because of the AI spend, well, then Apple's like that one place that you can go to. So it doesn't really need technically a catalyst if it's that sort of safe haven tech stock. I have an over-under level here, and if you're over it, the first look is always bounce. Obviously, and it's like the 330-ish area. It's like 329.70, so don't at me if it's not exactly 330, where you had that support. So you bounce off of this level. The same way I'd want to short pops if Apple's defensive, then to me, that's like a first look bounce along there. If it head and shoulders, consolidates, and breaks underneath, that's also an obvious reversal spot. Right? Like, this has been pretty parabolic on the trend for Apple, and I don't have my tool drawn, but it's been pretty parabolic to the upside. And if you look at this pulling back into the trend since the 50 period, or the 200 period bounce, that could be all the way down into 323. So to me, if you lose 330 today, it's not ridiculous that you could see 23. So there's no fighting that level, not today. But it's already 9 o'clock. Let's jump up to the desk. We have to get into our free watch list, talk a little future with Sharif, and then do our little bit of a rundown on all the big names. Most of them are down. So the rundown is aptly put.
750 and 2/3 is where we closed out yesterday on the SPY, guys. We are markedly below that right now. It's almost $6.50 below that. And it looks like we are headed down to an area low of 740. That is the last time, or that is the area low, excuse me, where we found support on the 8th of July. The 200 on the 4 hours, a little bit below that, and we've been defending the 200 here on a closing basis on the 4 hour for a number of months now. So look for a move possibly down into 740. If we do breach that, I'd be looking around that 737 area for the 200 hold. If we catch a bid for whatever reason, yesterday's closing print, a little bit above 750, so that won't be resistance today. We'll just go with around 750 number as R1.
Let's take a look here at the Trader TV Live rundown, which is always drawn from the Trader TV Live watch list. This provides you with a look of what reported earnings, what's going to report earnings, what economic data should you potentially be aware of here, what stocks are in focus, what news catalyst upgrades, downgrades should you be looking at, all of that and more in that free watch list. You can grab it with the link in the description or that URL you just saw flash across your screen. At the top of the watch list today was NFLX. Netflix still making new pre-market lows. This was a very narrow EPS beat, a sales miss, and guidance that was kind of an issue both for Q3 and for the fiscal year.
Yeah, I've been talking about this one for a while. We've been very negative on Netflix for a while, and for good reason. The chart's been bad. The numbers have been meh, and today reinforced more of that. A narrow revenue miss and a 1 penny EPS beat. That was as good as it was going to get for them. We're talking also some share repurchasing, $4.7 billion in share repurchases. And that leaves about $27 billion or so left on the authorization. They are looking at expanding their live programming. We're talking about like NFL deal. They say that's going to account for about 5% of total content spend, which they're spending quite a bit. You'll see why in a second. But it's only going to generate about 1% of global views. And that all that content spending has left them with a free cash flow problem. So they're down here to about $1.5 billion, and their debt jumped now to a total of, I believe, $5.2 billion in debt. So negative on the balance sheet there. And last but not least, CEO Greg Peters, he kind of explicitly emphasized that they want to strategically move away from the raw watch time metrics because global view hours only grew at 2% year over year, some of the most anemic growth numbers for the company in its history.
Bad look for Netflix. How you guys like the chart here, though?
Like it? Who would like that chart? Nobody likes this chart. I don't know. Bears like this chart. Like you're now at 66, $65.50. So you're underneath. This is a weekly. I was looking at a monthly before, but the weekly, you are losing the 200 SMA on the month on the weekly chart. And as long as this, it just has to hold underneath 70.5 to 71, and it's under that, and it's losing the major moving average on the weekly chart. So there's nothing about that looks good. That just means there's a whole lot of bounce that can happen, then this remains bearish. It could literally bounce $5 from here, and the chart's still dog, you know what.
Word? Yeah, Rainey brought the, yeah, there's.
I'm not sure you brought enough cookies,
I know,
bro.
It's crazy. But at least they're the oatmeal raisin ones. Those are the
You can't
good
do
ones,
this.
at least.
You can't do that to me, man.
There was more hatred in the kitchen for the quiche by other members here. So
I'm gonna eat all of these.
Yeah, because of dairy, you know what? There's very limited egg, and it's all pastry, and the pastry is bad. It's like, for me, it's like, look, I like quiche, and there's no doubt about it. But these ones, literally, it has a drop, maybe like a quarter of an egg or something like that. But that's how they always are every time. So this is not like today's new findings. It's just, for me, I wish it was, I like the scrambled egg or something like that would be good. But
give me an omelet and bacon, man.
Beggars shouldn't be choosers. So, but anyways, I wrote down, look, this is another play. It's going to be on the note today. It's on here. I'm not going to show it to you guys, and go find it if you want. It's just a 70 short. Now, I don't know if that's going to print or not. It's just right back into some of the levels that, we dropped off of. So it's just like, if we make a move higher for Netflix, do you remember what the implied move was, Adair? It wasn't this much. Definitely wasn't 11%. So.
I think 8.5.
8.5, okay, yeah. So, Adair, I like that. Right in the middle there, her face. Yeah, that's a new one. I like that one. But yeah, anyway, so 8.5% move for Netflix. Definitely something that we'll look forward to. An extension now, because now you're at 11.5, 12% short on this name today. So yeah, it's too bad. Adair, we went over all the numbers there. I don't think they're necessarily brutal, but you know what another thing is? And I know Joe likes TKO, but the thing is like, the ratings and, the popularity of WWE, and from what I've seen with UFC lately, is going down. And it's just like all of this kind of stuff. It's just like, you got to watch out for these breaks lower. And this is not a Netflix story necessarily, but they did pay a lot of money to get WWE on board. And like, I don't even know what's going on with that. Like, I used to be a big fan of WWE, and I know they're even having, I was reading an article the other day that they're having a lot of trouble selling tickets now. So I just think that the live sports are obviously an awesome catalyst for any of these streaming platforms, but at the same time, they're paying way too much money, I believe, to get access to all of this. And it's just at some point, you know, the bubble is going to burst, and where they're holding the bag now when the earnings or when the ratings don't come through on some of these programs. So, you know, we sat here before. Netflix just got the Christmas Day game, or there was a brand new game invented for Amazon day before Thanksgiving. You know, Wednesday night now has an NFL game. So it's like they're lining up to pay for all this. It's just, I don't know what the price tag, if that's leading towards anything. And I mean, imagine Netflix has just gotten, Netflix just got, you know, all of these into their system, right, in their platform. Live MLB, you know, boxing, UFC, all this is already in the name, and this is what the chart looks like. So it's like, what is that next sort of idea with Netflix? I'm not sure. So we have to wait to see. They wanted to become $1 trillion company. That is now, I think they're 300 billion or something. Definitely getting hit here, Netflix. So it's not a very healthy stock, and I'm shorting pops in this one as we're still down now and getting lower here, now down 2%. So yeah, you know, I like the software. I mean, I've been a Netflix subscriber since it was DVDs. So, you know, we still pay $30 a month for it. We have the highest tier, and it's just, it is what it is, man. Netflix, I like the product, but the stock is a completely different story. So yeah, that's a problem, right? It's just like nothing is attractive enough to bring people over. And if that's not happening with live sports, then, you know, what is going to change the tide here for Netflix? I'm not sure. So yeah, not a name that I would even really want even in the portfolio at this point. So all right, let's go back over to Adair. It's 9:10.
Yeah, it's time to talk here about some of these chip names because they're all, again, along with the whole market, pretty weak. NVIDIA, got Intel, but then you also have memory plays here like MU, SNDK that kind of look like they're going to be gapping down yet again. This tech weakness in Asia continues to affect these American stocks in the market.
It absolutely does, Dara, and a lot of this is because right now there's a Chinese developer by the name of Moonshot. It's an Alibaba-backed startup. They debuted something called Kimi 3. It's their version, their LLM, and it's claimed to be the world's largest open weight model at 2.8 trillion parameters. And again, allegations, we haven't seen the benchmarks yet, but we'll look out for those. Apparently it has performance that closely rivals Anthropic's frontier models. All the while, they are not using the leading edge North American chips, the Blackwell, the GB setup. For the most part, these are being trained on either illicit NVIDIA chips, H100s possibly, or the Huawei Ascended, and we've been talking about them stringing them together. They're not individually as strong, but as a group, they're able to achieve similar results to lesser number of chips from North American companies. So look, this could be some profit taking. This could be a genuine threat to North American AI dominance. We know President Xi, he's at an AI meeting right now. He's got the Russians on board. He's got the Brazilians on board. I think there's like 40 countries total, and they want open source models to be the leading sort of edge of AI. They kind of abhor the North American closed source model there, and they're championing a different alternative. It is a genuine threat.
I was hearing some decent things about Kimi yesterday as well when it was released. How do you guys feel here about these chip stocks today?
I'm gonna until the day that it loses. Right now it's gonna be looking short again. I just want to highlight one day here. So this is May 5th over in Micron. They had an announcement that day, and it started a big time rally. Right, you can see like the behavior of the stock just started to change. Obviously, you had a little bit more volatility, bigger candles, yada yada, all that good stuff. Just wanted to do that so you could get an understanding where it seems like DRAM is headed. Because if you go back to that moment in Micron, this is right around when DRAM was starting to ramp. And it's down around 44-ish that it was on that day, 42 to 44, let's call it. And you've still got some room to the downside. What happened yesterday was pop, fade. Almost every single morning that there's some kind, even on the days where it sells off, it's like break of a trend, but initially pop and fade at the open. Here you had like it was a pop and fade early at 9:30, but then made the low. So you're getting these opportunities. Just dropped off a roof here, just dropped off a shelf, sorry. And then yesterday was a pop and then a fade. So again, I'm looking for the pop and fade. It can be all the way up to 51.8 and still look pretty good here on DRAM. But the first place to usually look for myself is going to be VWAP. Now, you just can't get married to it. Shorted it back through VWAP yesterday, but I think the notion of trying to get maybe a double top or just a pop into the pre-market high will be the play over here on DRAM. And the other thing to watch is SK Hynix. It may or may not. Well, it's probably going to break 150 bucks. This is SSR, so it's going to break that 150. I was going to say it may or may not break the 150 by the open, but I'd say it's a pretty safe bet that SK Hynix is going to lose that 150. If I'm sitting there and SK Hynix is absolutely flushing through the 150 level, then I might have to change mind about trying to get that pop in DRAM. Obviously, I might have to be able to short it at like volume weighted average price or something because this thing's falling all over itself. So watch out. This is not an all-time low for SK Hynix, but it is the, let's call it the issue low, IPO or whatever. The ADR low. The ADR low is here right now because it broke that 151.
On today's note, and I'll put it back in here again, is a perennial trading venue and tool that I use, and that's Intel. So we've been really taking some pretty decent trades on Intel lately. So now that we're under $100, it's looking lower. I'm trying to watch yesterday's close. That's around that 96. Now we're not. The problem is like I was saying, man, we write these things down over an hour ago, and the market at that point, you've lost a lot since then. Nasdaq was down about 1.7%. Now you're down 2%. So obviously Intel continues to go. And when we're writing down 96, like I said, the price was around 94 at that time. But still, it doesn't really matter. We're looking at yesterday's close. So Intel just continues to get destroyed here off its highs, right? You're now down to 50% or so from its, not 50%, sorry, $50 from its high from 140 right there down to 90. So this name just continues to get bled through. So we're going to be shorting anything, any kind of a pop there. Yeah, what's up, Rob? Shorty Sean. Yeah, you're about right. Yesterday we had all shorts, and we had one of our biggest days of the month yesterday, besides the SK Hynix first day move there. But yeah, so that was a big day yesterday, shorting everything. You guys were watching me do it, so thank you for that. And we'll see if we can do it again today, and if not, we can get out of the way. Look, I've been saying, you talked about Kimmy there. I've been talking about China and sort of this the fact that these guys can do it just so much cheaper on the hardware side. And their large language models cost not nearly the same per token right now. This is coming from the person that I know who uses AI the most, my 24-year-old. He's been through lots of different models. He was talking to me about Kimmy a couple weeks ago. And he's just saying that it's not, it depends on what you're using these large language models for. Obviously, Claude and all that, there's going to be a lot of power involved with all of this stuff, and powered by, not power as in IREN, but power as in the production power of these models there. And, Claude can do a hell of a lot of everything. But for most people, you don't need sort of that next level of token acquisition, right? And so for Baba and some of these Chinese names, it's just a little bit cheaper. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. I was saying that example that it costs, between $5,000 to $7,000 for Claude's, for Anthropic's $200 plan. So they're losing money every single time someone signs up for an account. It's kind of like a Rivian model. But yeah, I don't really like the space right now. I know that there's a lot of people in our area here that are picking memory names. I just honestly, that was a huge move higher. And the thing about, I'll tell you the thing about these names is we already know that Micron has no supply into 27 already. And the demand is still outstripped everything that they can produce, yet this is still happening. So it's kind of like it's flying against the fact that, hey man, why everyone was buying this up was because the same story of maybe why it's coming back down. So when I can't wrap my head around why this is continuously happening, then I think the best thing to do is stay away and then wait for that ultimate level of $500 for a name like Micron, right? If we can get chopped in half, basically, then I think that's a decent buy zone. I mean, you're already down from 1250 down to 820. So you're already down that 30% or so on Micron when there's not much changed as far as the supply and demand story. If anything, it might be getting better for Micron, right? Especially because we do have that US aspect to it as well, with more money coming in to the space. I mean, we don't have IBM written on there, but this is another name that this is coming next Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know, and they already pre-guided and said like that, hey, there's so much CapEx is going towards exactly the problem, all this DRAM. Like what? They've already told us that there's a lot of demand in that space and that supply is going to be a problem. So that hits IBM. We know why that happened. But why didn't it give DRAM and all those other names a boost? So, you know, we got to be a little bit cautious here of too far too fast over the last 6 months. So for me on semis, I would still say if you're buying dips and I just put an offer near $500 for AMD. So if that comes anywhere back up to there and I put it out for 2 weeks, I'm going to be getting out of a third of what I have left. And I've already, like I said, I've already emptied a little bit on AMD. But I think the best one to buy is NVIDIA still. I just, you know, if we are thinking that there is halfway through this AI move or whatever inning we're in right there, you know, NVIDIA should still win, you know, no matter what winds up happening. So I like NVIDIA. It's actually done pretty, you know, Neil, we can sit here and kind of hate on what NVIDIA has been doing because it hasn't been doing anything. But at the same time, it's not really losing like the other names are. So I think this is going to be considered like Apple, like Google, like kind of a safe way to play tech without having to worry necessarily about, you know, losing your shirt. Like it's really held the 200 period, and I could probably zoom back.
Look at the accumulation.
This is what I'm saying.
I love accumulation on big stocks.
Well,
typically tends to be in a bullish trend is a good thing because all it's doing is it's just ramping up until it becomes such a good relative value that it goes again. Amazon did this a few years ago, and now NVIDIA is doing it. So I'm with you on that one. And well, maybe you'll get more value on that if oil keeps going higher.
Let's talk about oil here. You've got people from both, or rather, you know, government, military officials from both Iran and the U.S. saying that these strikes are continuing. CENTCOM saying they actually had fresh strikes in Iran and they still have 50,000 U.S. service members in the region.
Yeah, tough look, guys. Obviously, very headline-driven. Oil continuing to move higher. I just want to show the chart here if we can, because we were locked in a bit of a range here for the last few days. I want to say since about the 13th. Looks like we're taking out that range. We're breaking through the area high there at around 123. But I also want to point out that the RSI on the 4-hour chart, specifically on USO, as soon as it crosses 80, it has a tendency to revert here. So we're getting into that 80 threshold. So watch out for a bigger move and then a possible comeback in Adara of 122 to retest that area breakup. But it looks like a good-looking bull flag. And with that news headlines, I don't really see any relief in sight.
Yeah, both technicals and headlines in focus for oil. How are you guys looking at this sector?
Well, I mean, it's a break. Look, we're breaking out right now as we speak. So, like, USO is breaking the range. I thought maybe there'd be something a little bit more exciting happening in battle. It could. It's up 5%. Like, maybe this will go. I don't know. Volume's looking pretty. It's looking okay. It's got 1 million shares of volume, but it just wasn't enough to make the list. If we continue to hold above the range on USO, I think maybe a second look at battle after the open will be the name of the game. But as oil has gone up, the metals have been going down. Someone was asking, do we looking at gold? Not really, because silver just moves more. SLV just moves more than GLD. But this has been a short all week, and obviously it's a lot of things have been shorts all this week, with the exception of the second half of the day on Wednesday. Like this has been a continuation play. And it's just been short the pops technically. Like yesterday, it was simply look at the prior low and short into the prior low. Today, that's a little bit tight, so I would want to look for the resistance here at about 50.40 to 50.50 as the first look, and then the resistance here up at 51. So I'm going to play this short, and if oil reverses, then I can expect that this could change too. Right? Like if we get back underneath, so USO, because that's what we're talking about in particular, if we get like a fail break here, and I don't know, like we get a truth or a piece of news that actually makes it hold underneath 122, then I think you could see a reverse and might think about reversing metals, but not where we're still trending up. I'm going to still be thinking short on silver here. And again, if we hold this up move and I actually see some good volume come into battle, that's probably worth going over to because that's come back a lot, that small capper. Battle.
Yeah, I was gonna look at it. I just
like
called it. It was actually bumping right now.
Yeah, it's starting to go, but it didn't really break that this weak
resistance.
resistance.
Really been doing that much?
No, there's got to be a better volume, small cap energy name. Throw some in the chat, guys, because Battle is one of the ones that we roll like a lot of times because the short float and whatever. It'll just move more if it starts to squeeze when when oil futures are going higher. But it's not giving you the juice today. So it's got to be another one that we can find if we really do get a big move up today in oil.
No, and I mentioned yesterday that I mentioned today that we got out of XLE yesterday. So obviously, huge run up there from January, and I just, we keep on saying like I'm not trying to be that guy that's holding on to everything for that long, and if it's in a space where we've done quite well on, forget about this split there, but that was something to be considered. So I at the 50 period we broke back above there. I know we're inching higher today, but we're out like right here basically at 57 and change. I used it's a different one in Canada, so it was ZEO is what I traded that. It's a BMO product, but it's very similar to XLE, very similar holdings. And we had been holding this one for I think probably a couple of years now. So good trade there on XLE, and I'm just going to get out of oil now. I think it's just been a nice move higher. I still have Enbridge, which I think is a good stock, and that's actually doing quite nice. This is one of the very first names I've ever bought, and I kind of wish it wasn't. Like I wish that we would have just put all of our money into the big tech names, but Enbridge right here also at a spot where I'm debating, emptying this out as well. I mean, this is one of my largest holdings on the Canadian side now because we've been dripping into it for 30 years. But yeah, good name, solid dividend, solid hold. This is the pipeline company, Enbridge. Those of you that are in the Northeast or Northwest probably are very familiar with Enbridge. So shout out to ENB, another pipeline name that continues to pipe up the dividend, and we like that one for that reason. So that's why you're in energy, I guess, right? All right, let's go back over now. Sub 130, that's exactly the level that we have written down on the note. 130 there for Apple.
Ooh, buy and bounce.
Maybe 330 for Apple.
700,000 buy and bounce for SpaceX. That just hit a few seconds ago, so that's a buy and bounce. You just saw Netflix there for a split second. Now it's down to 500,000. A Bitcoin, if you care, 600,000 sell on iBit. But the big one here, SpaceX, 600,000 buy and bounce, and that would be the reason you see that $1 spike. So maybe it is going to get.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so I've written down 130. Let's go find out the story. We'll come back with only 4 minutes.
Yeah, SpaceX here bouncing off those pre-market lows. Imbalance mentioned here. Bit of an issue with its 13th Starship launch, which actually did not end up happening.
Yeah, last second pad abort is what ended up happening yesterday, guys. Specific software threshold here that was configured to prevent uneven thrust vectoring during maximum load. So 29 of the 33 Raptor engines did fire successfully, but 3 did not, so they didn't want uneven thrust vectoring. But this is only the second flight of the overhauled Raptor 3 engine. They redesigned the exterior to kind of cut down the weight, so we'll have to see how that works. But the payload here, Dara, that's one of the main stories, the unique nature of the payload. So the 20 Starlink version 3 satellites were on board, okay? They're not standard internet nodes. They were actually custom configured to test SpaceX's first ever data center architecture. They've been talking a lot about putting data centers into space, right? So this was going to be the first practical test of that. It was supposed to be run for about 20-minute suborbital window, so we'll see how that goes. But honestly, the real story is the 135 break.
Yeah, that 135 level certainly on watch. SPCX, guys.
Yeah, Sean likes 130. I like 132, but I think it's a distinction with a difference. It's the closing price is 131. So that the range it made at the end of the day was 130 to 132. You have to keep on. We talked about this with IBM when it had that plunge down. Even you can have a huge bounce that doesn't change the trajectory of the stock, unfortunately, because all it's doing is going back into like a previous resistance, and then it's failing that. And until you get to a resistance and break it out and hold above, you're still going to be in a bit of a downtrend. Just because I don't think there'll be another opportunity to talk about it. There was an upgrade on ASTS. Here today, and if it can get back, see the topping tail candle, and it's kind of hard to see. It failed 60 hard at the open yesterday after that offering. So if this one gets up, and this is a tall tail for it to get back to 60, that's like 10%. But that's a big level I'm watching on ASTS. Basically the same place as yesterday, but it's less likely.
All right. Yeah, I mean 130. We'll talk about it. I'll be on that. All right, well, we wrote down Apple short, and yeah, now this is what's happening. So, oh God. I thought I was sticking my neck out here a little bit, but we'll have to wait to see what's going on now as Apple just absolutely collapsing all over itself right now as the open is getting ready to rock and roll here. So that kind of little disappointing right there. I was hoping that we would be able to maybe smash that short there at 3. I mean, we don't want to trade it till 9:45, but I don't really want it to be starting this way because we might have already missed that trade here. I don't even see Apple on here, but darn it, man.
It's a sell, 300,000.
Yeah, 300,000. So, okay, small little sell there for Apple. Look, it's going to bounce around. This is not like woe is me here or anything like that. Let's just be patient with it. I was just hoping that it would stick above 332, and then, you know, with some momentum in the market, we would be able to hit that short. Maybe we will. Maybe we will get back up into the high side there for Apple. But this was like the one trade that I thought was like a little risky, a little counter to what I normally do. And there it goes, breaking lower now is Apple. Apple, Intel, Netflix, SpaceX, all on there. You can go find it. I put the link in there. But it's 50-cent spread right now on Apple. So with Friday upon us right now with 1 minute to go, let's go get one more story about Meta, another name that possibly should be selling up here.
It's almost a follow-up from a story yesterday. We heard yesterday a longtime AWS executive left the company. Now he's reportedly joining Meta, another sign that Meta is continuing to pivot towards cloud.
Yeah, we kind of gave you the other side of the story yesterday. The incoming guy for AWS, the outgoing guy, well, that outgoing guy is going to Meta. To AWS, he's going to, yes, Meta. He's a former AWS executive, pardon me. It's basically Zuck's attempt here to kind of build out his AI infrastructure. Dave Brown, a nearly 19-year AWS veteran, he's going to join their infrastructure leadership team, and basically his focus is to expand the company's data center footprint. Adair.
Good look at the bell, everybody.
Yes, sir. And with about 10 seconds to go, the final opening bell of the week brought to you by Origenics. Want to shout them out, OGEN on the NYSE. Shout out to Origenics. Want to thank them. SpaceX is moving to the upside. Netflix just made fresh lows right away. So Netflix just hit 65 and starting to get a little bit of a bounce. I mean, whatever. That's not much of a bounce.
Okay,
Sorry, it's not really a bounce. A tiny bounce as it tries to get into the volume weighted average price. But then maybe they grab that bottom here on NFLX 67. That was the level. Yeah, I'm waiting for you to say that, Sharif. 67 was the low in the aftermarket on the first bounce, and then if it gets up there, that's the first place I will look for the fade. DRAM, no movement on the chip, on memory chips. Got to be patient. Was looking pop and fade like it did yesterday at the open, but they just made a fresh low here in DRAM. So I'm not shorting at the low of the day here on DRAM. SK Hynix, of course, absolutely dying.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I was going to look at that next. Yeah. SpaceX up to one. SpaceX got to 128, and yesterday, like I said, I'm trying to be, a different man. Like I'm trying to be patient here and not get super excited about jumping into the trades. I'm trying to use a little bit bigger share size for myself, like just trying to make sure that we get the right levels, and just sometimes early. Like if you shorted 127 there, it ripped up to 128.30s, and so you'd have had to hold that. A couple bucks against you, or at least $1.50 there against you. So it can be difficult to make a trade early. So be patient or lower your share size. It doesn't mean that you have to go all in on something. You can always, there's levels to this. But yeah, there goes SpaceX right now, watching out for that break of 125. I think that's going to be, I might as well just put in right now that breakdown if it happens, right? We're not SSR unless we were. How much were we down yesterday? No, I don't think we were, right? SSR, no. Well, we have an N right here, so we'll go SSR no for now, and we'll try a short through that level of 125. Okay, so if that comes in, that'll be our first little look there. We would have wanted 130. It only gets to 128. I was actually sitting, and I'm still sitting there 129.50, but that's not going to come in right now. You mentioned SK Hynix going to the downside. AMD
actually
hopefully bounces. Nope. Ugh. So I'm hoping to see if we get something around 490. We can empty out some of our AMD position. We want to do that. So hopefully that'll be a case that happens soon. SpaceX does bounce off that level. So far, not really so good on that trade. And then Apple, and we'll talk about Netflix in a minute as well. So Apple's kind of doing fine. This is what I was hoping would happen. We would hang around here, and we'd be able to see what the futures do. And now it's actually giving us some bottoms here. So, now we can wait to see what winds up happening with Apple. And maybe even if the short does break, maybe we go to 31.50 instead of 32 flat. So I feel like the very first position that's going to come in is going to be SpaceX. And I'm only crossing down 20 cents. So again, like a little bit bigger share size, don't want to cross down like 50 cents and get 50 cents out of the money immediately. So we'll wait to see what happens at 125. And if I miss it, I do think there could be a break and fake. where we do
where
we do come back upside.
But that's what SK Hynix, it looks like it did the first time through. It lost. Where's DRAM going? DRAM was just going back into the upside. SK Hynix broke the 150, came back, and is now back underneath. So if this is the moment where I said, if this is breaking down, got to look at DRAM. Did you get?
No, I didn't. I mean, I was just looking at the chart.
I thought you meant SpaceX.
Oh, no, that didn't go yet. I was looking at SK Hynix.
No, I was basically saying the short the pop on DRAM. The second SK Hynix went, you had to be already in this. So I might have to take a shot at this. Again, underneath the 50 level, and just try to scalp it at that price level, because the memory chips are headed to the downside. Like, we're fading. Maybe I get a shot at SLV, but that hasn't come into any levels yet either.
Now the market's getting hit.
Like that, I'm sitting here waiting for VWAP and SLV, and it's already starting to break the lows. And Netflix is the only thing that's going up if you're trying to short a pop. The market's at the low and getting absolutely rugged.
Here's a name that's absolutely ripping right now, and it's a name that you would have never guessed if I given you 1,000 choices.
1,000?
Oracle, yeah. 1,000. There's no way you would have put Oracle on that. There it goes to the upside right there, man. 125, like Oracle from 120. Wow, Oracle was at 121. Like, wow, that's bad. That's all the way to 125 right now, and a nice move higher. But okay, here we go. SpaceX is coming in right now into 125. So we will sit up, we will get comfortable, and we will get ready to rock and roll here. And it's a little bit, the timing's okay. It's 9:35. So, a name that we'll take a little bit of a position on. Like a 1 unit kind of trade here, and then we'll see if we can get a little bit more if it does do that fake up into 126.50 or so, possibility there for a reload in SpaceX. But maybe, hey man, maybe that's not the break right there. I mean, it will happen, but I want to show you something else. Intel absolute crushed right now. We wrote down 96 short. It looks like 94 short was what was good right there. Okay, SpaceX, here we go, man. What kind of defense will there be at 25? We'll see right there, right now. Coming in is going to be SpaceX. So, yeah, we're excited to trade that through 125. Looking at what size is there, it's decent. A couple million shares, it looks like, on the bid. Right now, it's hard to see as it keeps on going back and forth, but we'll wait to see when it gets there. Right now, SpaceX, moments away.
There's 500,000 on a single gateway.
Yeah, on one single gateway. So, moments away now from that break. So we'll have to watch. I don't know if you've been in anything, but that SK Hynix maybe is.
No, I'm trying to get into
the market is
a few things, but I don't want to short the absolute low of the day, so that's not going to be the plan of action. I'm going to move down on SLV here just a little bit if we can get it. I'm also watching SpaceX, but I think it false breaks. So if it false breaks, VWAP's at 260.
It's gone.
It's gone. Oh, my quote's jacked. Bye-bye.
Well, yeah, it's that was just par for the course these days when the quotes go. But yeah, so we get exactly that 20 cents lower. So we got, like I was saying, that was going to be something that we were expected to do. So I put in the order there at 124.80s. So we get 124.81 right now. I'll take a little bit out there for, which I thought was 50 cents, which it's not now that I look down. We just get some out there at 52s, I believe, right there. So a decent out, 53s, decent out there for SpaceX. And now we'll wait. We only got out of a small bit, but here goes SpaceX, man. We're short it. We like this trade. If we could take it down $1 and then we'll just try to hold the rest. I'm bidding 124.12 right now. And like I said, man, we've been really trading this name quite aggressively for about, let's call it 20 days, however many days it's been in the market for. So here we go, man. It's a downside push. It's SpaceX. And hey, man, your boy did it one more time. So there it is again, man. Another 70-cent winner straight off the jump there for SpaceX.
Oh, very nice on SpaceX. We didn't get Astis up at 60, but this is now finally starting to break down. Day 2 short. If you want to short a pop, it doesn't get to your level, the next thing I look at is always going to be VWAP, probably aided by the fact that SpaceX just went down. But if I still like Astis short, ASTS short, I got to stop saying that name. Then I'm going to grab it right here. So we're going to try to get some 60. I would love to get some 90s, get a price of 80, and risk 50 cents into the volume weighted average price. So that's the plan of action. Didn't get our level all the way up at 60, but it's the same setup as yesterday, where you have a big hammer candle. I did get that SLV as the market's heading lower, so we shorted VWAP. LOD is the first plan of action, and then we just want to hold from there and then reload every chance that we are able to get. Bleeding its own blood is this market as usual.
Man, that was something that Sharif always says, bleeding its own blood. I see it's made its way to our realm, and that's what happens around here, man.
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot of back and forth there. But here we go, man. It's $2 now. We'll see what winds up happening with this 123 level. Still got 70% on. Obviously, we just take another fill there at 123. So let's wait to see how low can this name go. I mean, potentially into that 120 level. I mean, it's blue skies for the short, right? I mean, here, I'm gonna take another. Every time there's a level break, I'm just gonna keep taking it out on the way down. There it is, one daily goal met already right there. So let's see if we can continue to make some, have some fun times around here. Hey, look, man, even as this market was opening up, we were waiting very, very patiently for that 125 to break. We mentioned we wanted it, and we just took it. So there it goes, man. I hope that all of you have this trade. I mean, it was just one thing again that not only like I'm trying to like also put my money where my mouth is basically. And so we've been talking about the short. Look, I'm a long-term investor in this name for sure, but when it comes to trading, I really feel like we've got something here. So there it goes now into 122 again. Wow, now 250 in the money. This has taken me 4 minutes right here, and we've already made our goal, our daily goal, weekly, whatever kind of goals you have, made right there in 4 minutes. So this is what trading is all about, man. You want to have that lifestyle of being able to get in, get out, and sort of be less, like more relaxed and maybe financially, stable. So have your goals, make them whatever they are, man. Just don't make them outlandish. Trading is quite difficult to do. I'm going to take another bid here at 122.80, and then we'll wait to see what winds up happening. This could rip back upside. We've been here long enough to see that, these moves are not necessarily one direction,
Ooh, the band.
But yeah, shout out, exactly. We always used to say that joke as well around here. But 126 maybe is the out now.
Not a fan.
So let's just wait and hold it, and we'll see what winds up happening. But so far, so good. Now, people mentioning Lucid even in the chat.
Well, forget about Lucid. I mean, the way SpaceX is going, I shouldn't say forget Lucid. Lucid was an absolute barn burner yesterday.
Ridiculous.
So I don't get it, but Lucid has been incredibly strong. It makes absolutely no sense to me. So I'm going to continue to just sort of work in and hold this ASTS, but it is starting to blast up. Silver just did a topping tail, so I'm going to get my order back in. So I just got the topping tail on SLV, but ASTS, it's going to break and hold through that volume weighted average price. I wasn't bidding till it was going to be $1 in the money, but I'm not giving it a full dollar. Like the first take was going to be the $1, but I'm only giving it about 70 to 80 pennies on this. So if we'll take the L on ASTS, this was one of the better ones yesterday, but obviously I'm not going to hold it through that volume weighted average price. When it lost VWAP yesterday, it was just all trend down. So that's what I was going to be looking to capture if we could. And then I want to jump back over. I saw somebody saying battle. I know I was interested in battle today, but it's at the highs and you just pulled back on USO, which is a good sign. USO retakes the high, then I'm interested in battle. I didn't find anything. I saw people putting some names in the chat for other small cappers if oil starts going, and every single one someone put in the chat had lower volume than battle. So I didn't see anything I like better than battle. It's got to have volume. This is at 2.5 million shares. Those other ones were really, really tiny and just not my cup of tea. If you're going back over to the chip names, we didn't get anything in DRAM, obviously. Yeah, it didn't get anything in DRAM, so I guess we have to wait to short this pop. So we'll try to get this on trend. It's been trending all morning long to the downside, and we'll see if we can get involved. SK Hynix did lose that 150, and as long as it continues underneath there, then I want to still look short, even with the market trying to pop.
All right, yeah.
Oh, Commodity King. I'll check that one out. Keep throwing names in there. I want to see if there's something better than battle for the small capper energies.
All right, yeah, let's have a look at those names for sure. Yeah, keep them going into the chat, right? I mean, we're always looking for more information and more things to trade. Yeah, so SpaceX, we were just getting some out on the way back up, so let's be patient with it. We don't necessarily want to punch out of everything. We want to be patient here with SPCX and just wait. Another name that's mooning here in this market that's not is Microsoft, right? I mean, we had Steve Teilman on yesterday talking a little bit about it. There goes Microsoft up 1%, and we say mooning just because it's where it's come from. But yeah, nice retracement back up there to the upside, back into 398. So just another one of those names here, Microsoft, where we're going to be able to see, exactly what the trade is going to look like here for MSFT. Breaking through 400 might be a call here today if the market does, figure out its own footing here and finally get a base. But wow,
yeah, I don't know.
I should have been shorting something else, man. I mean, what's going on with Apple right there? Look at this, man. All these. This is what yesterday you said, like, that it was a pretty bad day. And remember, I was like, you know what? Like Apple held, Microsoft held, Google.
It was just the chips.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean. Like Google yesterday held until we got that Gemini story. And guess what? Right now, see you later to Joe's and all of our trades here with Google, as that is now absolutely crushed, down 3% here today. So like, you know, forget about it, man. This name is now gone.
That might be my third largest holding.
Out of that's what I was saying.
It used to be two. It used to be one. Now and then it was
Now it's
two.
fallen
And
down,
now it's
yeah.
probably three.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's
Hold
going,
on. That's gonna be
gone.
that's gonna
Even
be a buy.
Amazon is blasting to the high side. So yeah, the problem is in the chip names, I would say, because they can't find anything else. That's a problem. Marvell down 5, Google down 4, ARM Holdings down as well today. I would imagine down to 243 and change right now for ARM. So yeah, things are not going well in this space, that is for sure. And everybody's
Micron 800.
That's what I was just gonna. That was my next look. Was gonna be Micron 807. Right now, that's down 5%. And then you know, the name that we're also excited about, SK Hynix, now down through 146 right now and holding 146. But that's a level for SK Hynix. So yeah, man. I mean, someone in the chat there, UNH. So shout out to you in the chat there, MF Dane Generous and Dr. Win and all that kind of stuff. Right there. You know, this is another name that had a report there yesterday. Did have a good day, did pull back a little bit, but now today up another 3%. So, you know, good on UNH and some of the healthcare names, as rotation is definitely out of the chips and into some of these broader sector plays.
Well, one of those might be okay. It might be the banks, because BAC's trying to go green. I'm just looking for some relative strength, because if nothing's doing the pops to get into the short, I mean, silver did, DRAM's not. It's like, where is the strength going to be? Like, I can't sit there and stare at battle forever for this USO to break the high, which I think is going to happen. I like BAC the last couple of days, but I didn't put it on the list today because it just wasn't breaking out 62. But I'll put it on the back burner. It looks like this is going to be relatively strong. Hold 61, hold VWAP, break the 62 level. Could be something to happen on that. The other thing is I want to get my... Yesterday, it was the only day that it didn't work for me on SpaceX. But like waiting for it to get and test the volume weighted average price is a bit of a thing. So I'm going to let it get into 125, and then we'll see if we can grab it. There's something crazy about the way that this is catching a bit of a bid. But remember, every single time that it bounced in the afternoon, it was just another opportunity to fade it. The morning was weird in the way it was choppy trading, but now it looks more like the normal SpaceX. Like bounce, revert, that kind of deal. So wait for 125. SLV started to head downside. That's pretty good. Netflix. I know everyone started talking about Netflix as some people were saying, hey, it's going to be a good value. Others say that it's trash. It's a polarizing stock. All I care about is it filled the gap, and now it has to lose VWAP, and we can finally get into the Netflix short. I want this under VWAP and fresh lows. I own this stock, and it sucks, by the way. Like that's the thing. Like I still own Netflix. For sure. My price is fantastic, but you know what? That doesn't matter. And I've gotten wrapped up in that myself, where it's like you have it for so long, so your cost base seems good, but if the momentum's not with the stock, then what difference does it make?
Exactly.
It's completely irrelevant how much
Holy shit,
you're
AMD.
up on it.
And AMD is a perfect example of that, and this is why I was like, I should have just trusted myself, man. And there it goes. AMD just absolutely crushed right now. That's disappointing, man. Maybe I only have 10 grand in it or something. It's not a huge position, but like that's a nice move downside right there for AMD. And darn it, man, it was just Tuesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like we were just talking about this with Brian up here at 560. I should have pulled the trigger myself. Oh well. You know, like I said, woe is me. These names will be back. I don't think that they're dead in the water. It's just, as we talked about, a rotation out of these names is something to fear, I think, and it looks like it's happening right now quite aggressively. That's needless to say in this space. So, you know, be careful with AMD and the rest of them. All right, I'm still waiting to get short in SpaceX. We have less than half of the position right now. We just took another bid at 124. You know, it's good to have that 122 in the account, but we sort of knew, like, we had seen the first time that it cracked through 135 that it went down $3 or $2 immediately, and that's exactly what it did here again. So the battle back into VWAP is right here, right now. So we could take a little bit of a reload now, and then I'm going to try to wait for 126-ish, something like that into that area, where we can, think about getting a little more aggressive on the short there, because we've already, we've made the money. We don't necessarily want to throw it all the way back, but that might wind up happening. So, 125.50, 126 area right here, something to be watching out for, in my opinion, anyways, there on SpaceX. So here we go. That's what's happening there. Anything else? I mean, Apple short, someone's saying. I mean, this was a name that, I was thinking about as a short, but for right now, if anything, it's been holding out good. Like Apple only went down there on those imbalances. So we can sort of scrap that sort of short idea for now, and then think about what we want to do later, because right now Apple looks like it wants to go back up to the upside. So I don't think it's a horrible call to look for an Apple short here, but there's so many different names that you could actually look at rather than Apple that I think you may not.
If the market's bouncing because the chips want to go, it does make sense that Apple would also reverse, right? That makes I'm looking at DRAM, which that's starting to fly. I did buy the dip.
Sure. No.
Bought the dip on Battle because USO got back into the high of the day. So USO went to the high. Battle gave me the pullback on a 15. I'm giving it to like this candle, the 165. But look at this market try to bounce back with DRAM.
Here we go.
So it looks like, look, if the chips are the reason that we go down, then you got to feel like they're the reason you go up. But I'm not changing the thesis. It has to be wrong first. So I'm going to be waiting at VWAP here on DRAM to get into this one for the first time. So again, Battle 165, I'll give it to. If I just flat out see USO flush, I'll just punch out. But if USO breaks that high, I want to be able to hold on to BATL. Never came up with a better name, unfortunately. So you just go back to the one that you know.
All right, I guess I can hit to my 129.50 on SpaceX. That might not be happening.
129.
Well, yeah, it's because I initially wanted to 130, right? So. Yeah, so I had that order earlier. Okay, so here comes right back up to the upside right now is SpaceX 125.70 and change now, as the trade that was a darling short to begin with is now ripped back to the north side here on SPCX. So we do want to keep taking a little bit of shares up here. We don't even have that one unit. We got back into a half a unit now. As we had said, we had dumped out of half. We actually got a little bit less than half left. So now we have that half unit again back in. So now we'll wait to see where it goes. We still don't have as many shares as we did on that first move down, but waiting to get stopped out if that does happen at 126.50 right there for SpaceX with a couple reloads there. We want to be able to sit here and watch this stock. I'm still pissed off about AMD. All right, NVIDIA right there. That broke 2 bills as well. So that would be another play that potentially looking at a 201, look for VWAP. We're looking for names that are weak here today that might have a chance of coming back to the upside. One name that may have no more upside in it for a while is SMR. That's now $7. So, that just touched down to $7.20 right there. And you want to talk about a name that's just been killed this month. That's about down 50%. Its high right there was $14.
Wait till 5.
There it is. Yeah, wait till 5. Try to wait till 3 maybe. Who knows where this is going to go. New Scale, another one of those names that has now broken through those levels. And yeah, that's the thing. When there's a lot of downside pressure, you don't really know how low these names will go, right? And so Apple, Oracle, and then gold. Was gold moving around a bit today? It keeps on hitting the scanner, but that might just be because it's just hanging around. Yeah, so we got a VWAP look there, and it doesn't look like much happened down there at VWAP. But we got a little bit of a bump, about $1 there on GLD, and then I'll throw it back to Neil in a second. USO right now, just want to have a quick look, up 3%. So that was a great VWAP trade, if anything. So I think you want to take energy long, it looks like, and maybe just wait for this market to figure itself out and potentially buy some of these dips. But yeah, I don't know. So far, so good on all these plays. Apple is kind of the one name that I'm waiting. Oh, gosh. We just talked about this, and there goes Apple losing its bid again. So, okay, bye-bye, Apple. Maybe 332 might actually be a trade after all.
Yeah, it looks like it is. Like that reversal is definitely happening. I don't know what gold is doing, but SLV just broke that top wick. So you know how I roll. Either we get the low of the day, that's where we're going to be bidding, or if it breaks the top, we're going to jump out of it. Energy's going. We just broke the high of the day on USO. Battle is only trying to get there. If I get filled the top, I think just sort of going back in and buying dips. I have an order. Here, I'll show you. I have an order here in front of 80 and then one in front of the high from Tuesday, I suppose, at 188. And then $2 is another level up there. So those are some pretty clear targets for this trade. But you have to sustain the move. Well, the move has to sustain in USO. Like if USO pulls back heavily, then this trade is meaningless, right? Like it's basically just like a proxy and a squeeze play and all because it happens to have a big short flow. Without that, then you have absolutely nothing. All right, here comes back through VWAP, so I'm going to get into SpaceX for the first time. here today. So it's back underneath the volume weighted average price. I'm still on the 15, so we'll flap over. Here it is. There's your topping tail wick. So I want to jump in on the south side of VWAP and give it to that wick high on SpaceX. So that's the plan of action with SPCX. And then VWAP, same thing on DRAM. Thank you, Randy.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my God! Someone just put in the chat. I want to say a big shout out to you, Commodity King. And look, you just dropped the orange. That's okay. That orange has been there all week.
I thought you dropped the coffee.
Look at Commodity King here. You know a Commodity King, and we're going to be on this one because Samsara. We talked about this 2 weeks ago with the kid. This is a name that I've been buying up. It's just been an absolute great run there. And thank you, Commodity King, for putting a smile on my face with Samsara IoT, Internet of Things, up another 5% right here. And look at this one, man, finally starting to break out. We're long this in the low 30s or mid 20s, something like that. We started buying it up here, which was why I got to find out what my average price is. It's probably low 30s. So it's not like it's a huge play, but there it goes, man. Samsara, nice upside play. And yeah, it does look like the reloads were real here on SpaceX. So here we go, man. Big move, hopefully coming in on SpaceX. And we're pretty loaded up right now. And we did finally take that trade on Apple. So, we do have that 32 short that we wanted. We're short at 331.90. So let's put a bid out here, like sort of where we dropped into maybe the 50s. If we do get a fill there, that's fine. It looks like we did bounce off of that level that we were like, hey man, we need to break through here if we're going to take the short. That move kind of happened quickly. So we are going to stop out if it takes 333 again on Apple. So we don't, this is a trade that we liked initially. But, with this market, look at this blasting higher right now. So there's a short coming in there. So we'll take our last fill on Apple and just try to give it, I'm going to give it a little bit more than 333. That is 333, basically flat. Let's go to 333.25. And again, it's not a name that we have a bunch of shares in right now, but we're going to watch it. It's Apple. We're short. The bigger one is here in SpaceX. So we'll have to wait to see what happens there with SpaceX. But we've got Apple short about a unit or so on Apple. But what's up, Adara?
I always have to shout out Eleanor Terrett here. She's a crypto-related reporter on X. She just posted something pretty interesting, and I looked into this, and this is very much legit. The House Financial Services Committee, the same committee that questioned new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh on Tuesday, they're holding a field hearing in New York City on the Clarity Act. This is called, quote, Building the Future of Finance, how the Clarity Act unlocks innovation. They've got a whole bunch of witnesses there. That's starting at 10 a.m., so you guys have to know that I'll be watching this with bated breath. But stay tuned. If there are already updates, I will keep you posted. Back to you.
Thank you there. I haven't even looked at crypto, 63, 62.8. Well, one of my picks is crypto adjacent, so I guess any movement to the upside will be good. It was Robinhood. We still have one more to give you guys today. I think we're doing it in the afternoon. Well, the two of us have one more to give you, I think.
Yeah, we can go over. I can go over some of the picks. I do have.
No, we can do it. Well, I don't know.
No, just the picks so far. We don't have to do. No.
We'll do it in the afternoon.
Show it eventually. We'll show.
Yeah,
the stocks. Yeah. No worries for now.
I want to dive into mine deeper later. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into a deep dive.
We have talk about a deep dive. Let's see how far we could dive with Apple right now. Good position now. We're happy with where we've got it. Let's put some more bids out here on Apple. So we've got 332.25s. We kind of like this position. We talked about the 332 breaking. It's on the note today. On the note today is SpaceX short, is Intel short, is, I forgot the last one, Netflix, of course, short as well. But for right now, let's let Apple do its own thing here. The market is really retraced back up. We're still down 2%, but we are looking for lows coming in. How come I'm not bidding anything on Apple here? We should be bidding something. What is going on there? Oh, 331.60 I had, so I just put an 80 in there. Oh, that's too bad. We got into 70s there on Apple, but okay, so I put a 331.80. Hey, look, man, we'll take 50 cents and we're trading with upside shares. I keep saying we all trade different share size. I'm trading for myself a little bit higher here, so we got to be careful with what I'm trying to do. So I am bidding some more out here conservatively, and then we'll look back an hour and say, why did we get so much out, right? That's how I trade. But here it comes. There's 80. Give me, we just missed it again. Wow, look at that. Look how violent that move was. We almost got 80s there, and then ripped back up 50 north side. So yeah, lots of action here this morning. That was crazy, man. We were on the bid, and then it just ripped back against us. So absolutely insane price move in here today in the market. But let's go SpaceX. Let's go
Same thing's
Apple.
happening at 30s on SpaceX.
Is it? Okay.
In 124, 32 to like 45 or so. Every single time it gets there, It's just bouncing. So you can you don't want to fight it. You got to be able to join it if you can. So I'm gonna hop on the bid and try and get those 30s if we can get it, and then try to reload that one if possible. USO's still going. Battle is still exactly where it was before. That's just you just got to wait for it. Netflix is starting to head back into 67. So it doesn't. As quickly as it got underneath VWAP, it immediately came back and didn't really confirm that weakness. So Netflix is still driving higher, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, I guess, if you're long. But if you're looking for the fade under VWAP, it's just not really happening for Netflix yet. SSR, remember. So that stock is going to be, it's going to have a little bit of juice to it. Maybe because people think it's oversold, but it's obviously going to have a little bit of that SSR bounce play. So yesterday, it was all easy for the shorts. But today, it's a completely different story because this market is now trending higher. Until we get to pre-market highs, if not in, it's wait for a re-entry point, because why fight it? If the setup is wait for the pop and fade, we're not even at the top yet. So more patience is going to have to be required. It's not going to be easy like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I guess that's right in the general sense. It's been pretty easy so far today, though, for this Apple and for SpaceX. And, here goes Apple to the downside. We're starting to cover a little bit more, but I do agree. It seems like a little choppier there with a complete V-shaped recovery in the futures. Wow. That was huge, man. What a huge recovery there. 28.4. Like, this is how you know the market is just all messed up, because that was just, heading to the downside, and really with no tweets or no nothing, you basically make that whole move back, right back to where we opened again. So what a wild 30 minutes, man. The first 15 was downside huge. The next 15 was upside huge. What brings the next 15 is really the question. And that's why, we're really happy to have everybody join us, man. Hopefully you guys are here with us right now. And let's do a quick little roll call to say hi to those that are here. Casey's here. Darkside is here. Bhavin Patel, thank you so much for being here as well. Ed Traveler is here. Neil's already been in and out of ASTS, so thank you for mentioning that one. Lily Cove, Tatsu, MF Dangerous, Andrew Chow is here as well. Everybody, thank you so much for, nice move downside again. Apple is absolutely breaking. Thanks for the roll call, everybody. But there it goes, man. Again, some of the best trades happen when you're patient. Bye-bye, Apple. Now a monster move lower, man. And we've got shares on this one. Apple making it rain. It's almost like I don't even care about SpaceX anymore. Apple downside, downside, downside. We just got another reload there in SpaceX. Let's watch out for 126, but a huge move down right now. Let's go to Adara for University of Michigan sentiments.
We have actually higher than expected University of Michigan consumer sentiment here, 54.4. That's going to be above estimates of 51 and above the prior print here, 49.5. So a little bit more optimism than maybe we were expecting here. 5-year inflation expectations, 3.3%, in line here with the prior print of 3.3%. The 1-year inflation expectation here is coming in at 4.2%. So that's going to be a little bit lower here than the 4.6% prior and the expectation of 4.3%. So basically what we're seeing here is people with better expectations for the economy in terms of consumer sentiment, but lower expectations for inflation, generally a pretty good combo. We're going to take a look here at the market, which is just continuing to ratchet to the upside off these lows on these comments. We're still a pretty far ways away from breaking or from closing that gap, but in the right direction. SPY looking almost identical to the Nasdaq here. Keep an eye on tech. Now, NVIDIA bouncing here. It did break below that 200 level because Apple, at one point, I think now probably giving it up, it did briefly surpass NVIDIA for market cap to become the largest market cap company in the world. Here is SK Hynix. Another theme I think today are these recent IPO names. SKHY obviously bouncing off the lows, but it did break below that 149 IPO level for the first time. SpaceX, meanwhile, was still trading, actually made a new intraday low or new all-time intraday low. Currently here trading around 126. We know SPCX had a bit of trouble yesterday with its Starship launch, the 13th launch, which actually didn't end up happening. It was aborted due to some engine concerns, as stated by CEO Elon Musk. Join us here every single day on Trader TV Live. You can follow us on social media, each of us individually and the show, and you can stick with us all day, every day. We'll send you back over to Sean and Neil.
As you can see right now, SpaceX blew through the top and stopped that out. The markets have been very, very active lately. And for traders, this is the environment that's going to create opportunities. More setups and momentum, and that's what you want to see. But if you got to take advantage of this, you got to do this under the right conditions, and you need a couple of things. Discipline and access to capital. And that capital, that's where Trade the Pool comes in. Instead of being limited by the size of your own account, traders get to access the firm's capital. That way they can focus on executing their own strategies and just managing their own risk. You don't fear blowing up your personal account. You're not moving your stop too early because you're worried about your own savings. That's limited risk trading. So if you want to take advantage of the volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital, visit tradethepool.com. Shout out to Mitch. We had Money Mitch on, and of course, Steve Tom. I want to thank him for coming on through as the money is flowing back into those markets as they are going higher and higher. That rotation starts to come back into play for sure. I did wait for the price at 50-50. VWAP, 50-50, 51. Those are the levels we put down. So those are the levels we wait to trade. That's 50. That's it breaking. This is 50 and a half, and that's where we're going to be in the next time. That NVVV, I know there was that halt trade. A little bit late. It's already opened back up. Not V, NVVE. Already opened back up. This is your halt runner. But remember, this one does super low volume. Not even at 1 million shares yet, but is starting to go pretty precipitously to said upside. And then before we go back over, SpaceX took my first jaunt in SpaceX, and it broke that 126. Here, but we're trying to. Come on, hit enter twice. SPCX. There we go. Did accidentally get back in, but I just jumped right back out of the trade. Like, that was an accidental fill. Took a couple of pennies on it, but didn't want to be in at that price. It's like, no, want to wait for the actual high. So SpaceX heading right back in. Not going to take it again until it either breaks trend or gets up to the top to fill in a little bit more of the gap. So the only new position is going to be that SLV, and that's an oldie. We'll get out in front of VWAP if we can, take about 2/3 out there, and then look to see if we get that low one more time.
Okay, good look over there. Yeah, I mean, so far here today, I mean, this is the trade right there. Apple 332 short. We just posted that up. We got the SpaceX. Well, we got stopped out as well. We're back in it, of course. But there's Apple with that huge move down and no Apple, no cry. There it is down into 330. We have some good fills there on Apple. So make sure you are following. I'll put this up there in the chat again as it's a completely free resource to talk about, the sticky note there as we go. But yeah, we'll have to wait. So there's Apple. We got some good fills down there as well. And, I think it might have been a little bit too far, too fast for Apple. So we will start to get a little bit more out here at 330 once again and wait for a downside play. Despite getting hit on SpaceX, we still are at our goal, even though we did give some back there. And I'm going to take a little bit more out right now. Why not on SpaceX as we just we got stopped out at 126.50. That's fine. So we did give back, what we had made there. Good thing we had reloaded into there and then able to take some outs back in. So we do have a bunch of reloads and a bunch of more outs. But right now we'll short the top end of this trade, and now we'll wait to see. This is almost like what we did yesterday, where it came back in. And if you noticed, yesterday it was around this time on SpaceX here. Maybe it's better if I just zoom back out a little bit here, and we can have a look. It was right into here. This is 10 o'clock-ish. This is 10. And this is 10:30. So remember, it was sort of going sideways for a while, and then it lost the bid. It could do the opposite today, where it goes sideways and catches the bid, but pretty choppy off the open. We saw that yesterday. And if you're looking today, obviously, man, I mean, that's where the bread is buttered there. But then on the way back, now it's starting to get a little choppy and making some new highs there on the day as SpaceX just for now. But we've got that short back in, and here it goes, hopefully breaking. I mean, I don't know if it's going to go. I'm going to put another bid here at 126 because it looks like it's definitely, but looks like it's holding that 126 right now. And so what I'm doing is just trying to scalp it out. We have a bunch of outs there in and around the 20s and teens and whatnot. And if this breaks 127, then we can say forget about it. Yesterday we took a 50-cent risk to make like $8 or $9, whatever that were, $4 or $5, sorry, on the way down yesterday. So well worth the risk right there. And we're just $3 right now in the money on Apple. So this is going to be what's to be a good trade. We have a quarter left of this one. Let's see how low Apple can go as SpaceX ripping higher again.
So it wasn't NVVE, that it did halt, but the big one is V. It's VEEE, and it's not good. This is now the third consecutive down halt. It's not even staying open very long. It's 3-minute candles here, if you guys are wondering, and it's insta-halted down. Reject, halt down, open, halt down, open, halt down 3 times in a row. This goes back into the meme stock days, but once a stock does this 3 times in a row, I'm looking for the first green. It's just an old pattern, old first green, and then back to either previous halt levels or the volume weighted average price. So V should be open up in about 2 minutes or so. Yeah, because it's a 5-minute halt and it's 10:05, and if it's not 5 minutes, then it's going to be 10 minutes. But it's not NVVE. It is VEE. That's the one that's moving. It's just moving in the wrong direction. And when I'm talking about looking for a potential reversal, think about Lucid. That's the only example I can give you that'll be recent. So that's why I'm going to bring up Lucid. It was a couple of days ago. See all the cascade down, halt down, halt down, halt down, and then open up, make the low, and then break back above. That's what you're looking for on V. So it can continue to hold down, then you don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But for now, that's what I'm watching on VEEE. SpaceX willing to give it another shot, not just the one. And of course, I pull it up in Toronto, where I am long in the long term, but it's going to have to break the trend. I like levels, I like VWAP, but I want to see it break this upward trend. It has lots of room to the highs to be able to do so before it gets there. But you've now gone bottom, higher low, another higher low. So there's a good chance this consolidation could take you higher. And until it breaks that trend line, I just don't want to have to fight it. T-Rob, throw up that super chat there, Andre. T-Rob is in the building. I can't comment all the time, but I'm always in the business.
Nice.
Good morning. I'm long the market for now.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the market is absolutely churning. Is this going to be the rally? Is this the absolute bottom? Or is this one of those like fake out rallies on the pullback? Look at SK Hynix. SK Hynix, 10% top to bottom, and it's just where it was in the pre-market. Like, that's crazy. Like, this is where it was in midday yesterday before everything fell apart. That's the thing that always gets me about these rallies. It's like if it doesn't break this top, it actually hasn't really broken the down structure if it doesn't break out this top. So that's one of the reasons why I'm still going to go with the Thesis and some of these other names. Like SLV, we're just right back into it at the next level and playing back into the volume weighted average price. Like, stick with what works until it's proven otherwise definitively.
Yeah, and we're doing, it's too bad that SpaceX just keeps throwing us back and forth here because it's, just really Apple that has been the move to the downside. And yeah, there's STAK just halted right here again. So Stack, another one of those names that maybe some of you guys are looking at, down 37% here today as it just keeps on making lows right there. Stack, I mean, right now halted at, what was it, 209? What did I say? It was 221. So 225 there, the halt price for Stack, and now it's printing 211 for the tap. So it looks like it will open up just a little bit lower here as STAK.
Did we ever find out why that dropped?
No, I don't even know what the story was the last couple of days, but upside move there for Stack, and we'll wait to see 440 and change right now coming back in for that name. So yeah, thanks for the super chats again. 221 is again back to the tap of that. And yeah, if this is, as Neil said, man, maybe we are getting a good little rally here. And yeah, it looks like Intel is making that move all the way back up. I mean, wow, to short the market. I mean, we told you we're getting, I'm still unbelievable right now that it's $3 in the money is Apple. And if you just rewind, this is one of my big moments because we had talked about how even though the market was doing what it was doing, we did think that Apple was a space that traders would look to take money out of. And that's exactly, like, honestly, man, all the years of experience, I feel like finally paying off here on this Apple call. So that was a real, for me, I told you it was a risk putting it on the board here today, and I thought it was a risk putting it on the note, but, really glad we have it. This will be P&L number one for me today. It doesn't even, no matter even what happens the rest of the day, this is going to be a good one. I'm really glad Marvell is coming back up, and hopefully soon I get hit on my AMD price, which is $495. I put on AMD, so maybe we get out of a quarter of what I have left on AMD very, very soon. But yeah, man, Apple, one of the, one of the stocks that I was really happy with today because it actually printed out the way that we sort of thought it may have done that, and now we're $3 and change. And we wait for SpaceX. We have a Dara though with something. It's 10:11. What's up back there?
Yeah, just be aware, one of the risk executives from Bullish is actually at this House Financial Services Subcommittee hearing on the Clarity Act. So be aware here. There is a BLSH representative at this hearing. It's not moving, and I don't really expect that it will, but I do want to just make you guys aware that that's occurring. Back to you.
All right, thank you.
Well, it made me look. Yeah, Bullish not really doing a heck of a lot of volume. But hey, if you're looking at the name, then you want to be abreast of whatever might be happening with it. And right now, it's absolutely nothing. The market's coming up, but as I said, man, this is gonna break the trend.
Which?
SpaceX.
SpaceX, okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to break this trend line, even as the market continues to go higher.
Oh boy.
SLV's about to do it too, so this is going to be an entry pretty soon here on SpaceX. You're seeing the Nasdaq go higher, and if something is pulling back, I still think this is the weakest one in that longer run. For sure. What's the old boy?
Yeah, we just got a new position on because, again, guess what just hit on the sticky note again? Like, if you guys, it doesn't matter. I mean, some people don't have X. It's also on Instagram. But we wrote down what level here on Intel? 96 short. So there it is, man. We just took this 2 minutes ago on that trade as it just gets right up to 96. And there's the short back into 95 again. So this is what the old boy is right now. It's a good trade there for Intel as we're getting into that dollar one more time right here, right now. And yeah, man, we almost have $1 back on SpaceX as we're back into that short. Just trying to clean up a little bit of this trade because we had given some back there, obviously, as we tried to go short there on SpaceX. We're now short 126.80s. Maybe this is the next name to sort of lose that bid coming through again. But we'll put another bid out there on Apple. We're back to our highest spot we've been at all day right now. So like, despite all of this like back and forth and, you know, losing the bids, gaining the bids and all that, we're back up to our daily goal right now. And it's been pretty good. And here comes SpaceX trying to do more work for us right now. Downside here for SPCX. So just looking at that. What was that? The orange again? Just fell down. But okay.
No, it was the book.
Oh, it was the book. Okay. So here comes SpaceX. Back into 126, man. I'm going to take another bid here at 126 flat. Take that 85 cents and now see what winds up happening. We have half left here on SPCX. And oh boy, Intel downside. Everything working out, man. We're a couple dollars in the money now across the board. So far, so good. And there it is right now. $1 on INTC off our posted level.
Yeah, there we go.
Wow,
Love to
wild.
see it. And right back, now the market's starting to really rebound. Yeah, it was both of them.
I might have another cookie, man.
But literally, both the book and the orange fell at exactly the same time. And I'm not even sure what could have knocked it.
Get this orange out of here.
The orange was terrible, by the way. I had mine.
Was it? Okay, well, that's easy.
No, I had a couple of slices.
Did you? Yeah, I saw you had it that day. Yeah.
No, it wasn't very good.
Surprised it's not orange season around here. What? So
what, you don't think it's orange season here in Canada right now?
No, yeah, maybe it is. Smoke related.
Obviously,
oranges,
no.
right
Obviously not.
We're just kidding.
Yeah,
we're just playing around. It's never orange season around here. Now it's $1 in on Intel. It's $1 in on SpaceX. It's $2 in on Apple. So $4 in the money on the short right here. I am getting a little bit interested in covering some of this because I feel like we got pretty lucky here, especially with this Intel. This just came back and said Merry Christmas to us. But there's Intel short 96. And again, like just following your rules. There's nothing more important than doing that. You know, I think sizing is the most important. The second one is having, first is you need to have levels. So we do that. And then the next is sizing, right? And so, you know, I don't have that many shares on board here, but these trades is what we've been looking at here today. Intel short 96 is right there. Apple short 332. SpaceX never got to our level, but we're dancing with it anyways right now for SPCX. Wow, we are really starting to get some actual money back again here. In the account, and it's because of SpaceX, right? That's now 126 and change downside. Sorry, 125 and change. Now $1 and change in on that one. But lots of names, right? I mean, we're only covering these ones because we're trading them. But that stack did open back up and halted again. So this one actually opened up, got a little lower. Now it looks like it's trying to halt higher right now at the 237 tap on stack. So
yeah, V tried as well, but
yeah,
not
okay,
quite.
good.
V opened up basically inside of the candle, which is kind of the last thing I wanted. It's either open lower and continue to flush and then reverse. It basically opened inside and just stayed on the inside range. So if it can close, it'll have to close above 42, but that's not a cascading move down. It's not that's not the turn that I was looking for on V at all. I wanted to see it make another fresh low, maybe one more halt down, or just like a definitive move up like we saw in Lucid, where you're taking it as it tries to break that prior halt price or halt up on its own. So V will go on the back burner. Still going to have a level 2 up to watch it because it is, I mean, it seems like the smallish cap mover that's going the most and probably worth it if it can go. But that trend break, not to VWAP, half to VWAP on SpaceX. VWAP hasn't been respected this morning, so I'm really looking at support at 124 is a little bit more significant. 127 goes, that's easy. Trend break, prior bar, which is just above 127. So give it a couple of shekels above the 127 level. SLV came back in.
Intel is, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
It came right down into first support and is bouncing back in through the high. So again, it's the same setup as before. We get the reversal, goes to first support, and then it tries to break out the high. That's going to be the, regardless of how it works out, like that's the exact like trap fail if you trade this style for myself. But like I'm basically, it goes to my level and does a topping tail. I'm taking it every single time, and I have my take profits, and the structure is always going to be the same. But this is the day that silver doesn't want to hold that trend back in. Just looks like it's a relief rally kind of day overall. So far, I still hold that. Look, here's the thing. I said this before. On the 15-minute, if this doesn't break 51 today, then the overall trend hasn't changed. But like it's still the same trend over and over. So you don't want to overreact just to the fact that it's going up a little bit heavier than it was in the morning the other couple of sessions. This is still very much structured down.
Okay, I was going to say to you guys that I think Intel might be a long. After all, we still are short, so I'm starting to cover right here. Just it's not. Oh, here it goes. I mean, all right, we got the reload and now it's tanking. But I was going to say like it was looking like it was real strong there. And okay, well. Look, man, I mean, I know it's been, you know, depending on, you know, what stocks you've been trading today, you know, there's been longs, there's been shorts, there's been everything, you know. But again, like you guys can, and I know we're talking about the same names, you can always ask us about what we've traded here today. I've only traded 3 names and we're going to be green. Well, we have to wait on SpaceX, actually. That's just battled back a little bit. We did empty out half of our trade again at the 200 period moving average, but please, you know, put in the chat anything you guys want to. I mean, we talk about that all the time. Like, I don't have a problem saying, like, right now we're holding red against us on SpaceX, so we have to wait for this to break down through 126. We tried, there's too many shorts up here and gave back, because we only got out of half right there. We put on a little bit more there, then got stopped out right into there, and now we're just trying to see if this one can pull back. So here comes SpaceX again, back to the upside. So just be careful, you know, with what names you're trading, and make sure that the sort of the idea that you had in the first place is still holding, right? So even on this Intel, like I said, I've tried to switch it up now. I think it might be a long, even though we've written down a short. So I'm just covering like insane amounts right now. When that just dropped down there, I was coming back to tell you guys that I think it's a long, and then it tanked. So these are all fills down here into 95. So like just like this is a nice move down. I'll just bid and take another fill down here if we can get it in the mid 30s. So that's what we're trying to do. Just sort of massage this. It's already 10:20. We've done quite well today. Just trying to hold out some of these profits and make sure they stay where they belong, and that's in my pocket for now. I think all traders should think about doing that. If you're even green today, right? I mean, it's not, doesn't need to be green every day. We talk about going back and forth with the market, and you know, you're looking at quarterly, you're looking at monthly, whatever you're trying to do. But today was a tricky one because the short, you know, looked so good early. And then all of a sudden, man, it was Taco Friday all over again. And you get a complete reversal there back up to the upside.
Taco Friday.
So, yeah. That's not, that whole Trump always chickens out, but I don't think he chickened out yesterday. That was a
no, he didn't chicken out in that speech yesterday.
He didn't hold out anything on that one. So shout out to DJT for that. Whether or not you are, you know, a fan of his or not, like he really threw some shade yesterday. That's
yeah,
for sure.
the DJT angle was one
results and all that stuff.
I'm gonna stay away from that one. Oh, we try not to get political, but like there's that algo thing for DJT. That sounds real fishy to me, man. I don't know. Basically, they're gonna sell data to algos from his truth account. So you pay a subscription so that traders can get faster access to the truth features and trade off.
Yeah. Sounds like a money-making man, that President Trump. That's for sure. You know what you're signing up for, right?
Yeah. That just sounds all kinds of.
They reelected him, my friend, and
no, I'm talking from the regular standpoint.
Oh,
like you do what you got to do. If no one puts a rule against it, but like I got to feel like the regulators should be doing. Anyways, I'm not the regulators. That just seems really crazy.
Intel now just made that next leg down again. It just broke through 95 pretty aggressively there. Let's see what winds up happening now on that breakdown. And like I said, I still do not love this, but we're going to hold it in case we're wrong on this one. We haven't been wrong much today. We're just waiting for that SpaceX, and we're going to get ready to go over to Adara. Stack halts again. Is it Adara's call here? Andre? Okay, good. So we are going to go small cap recap, I guess. And here's another one, Stack. Just halt. And then VIVK halting right now with 400,000 shares. This could be on someone's radar soon as it's making a move down. But don't listen to me, listen to Adara. It's small cap recap back at the desk.
I'm going to start with mentioning a larger cap name, and I want to be really careful because I remember the last time we heard news about this segment of Walmart, the market and the algos got very confused. So Walmart International's COO, Kyle Kennard, is going to take over as the COO of Walmart US, according to Wall Street Journal. And I only really make this specification because we know when we heard at 1.0 the Walmart CEO was stepping down, it was just the CEO of Walmart US. That's why I really want to make this distinction again. Wall Street Journal reporting that Kyle Kennard will become the COO of Walmart US. So not the entire company, but the US branch's chief operating officer. If I get more details or any confirmation from Walmart themselves, I'll let you know. Let's take a look here at SLND. I wanted to talk about this because A, it's to the upside, but the catalyst involves the home city of Winnipeg. Apparently, their joint venture was awarded a contract for the Winnipeg North End sewage treatment plant upgrade. I did not even know this was happening, but nice look here for Winnipeg and good look for SLND with a $56 million market cap and a 14 million share float. CJMB on watch. I could not find any float information. This is also a day 2 catalyst, so not day 1. But yesterday morning announcing a strategic partnership with Alabama State University to strengthen domestic pharmaceutical production. Last but not least, FFAI, Faraday Futures, a name I know we've certainly talked about a lot on the show in the past, pursuing cooperation agreements with a couple different universities, including Stanford and UC Berkeley, so very California focused here. They're looking for industrial security and education sector work. They have a $49 million market cap, 341 million share float, 15% short float for FFAI. Back to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Adair, we just saw 20 memberships dropped. Shout out to Henny Wasson here. And remember what we talked about earlier. If you want to get those memberships that you hear me talking about right now, you've got to be in the chat, live in the chat. So hit the subscribe button, then you're in the chat. And then you're able to get this, the Sharif Morning Note, everybody. It's got oodles of information, whether it's key price levels, whether it's going to be the actual news stories and overall sentiment, an idea for how to structure the trade. All of that's there for you, literally like 25 cents a day. You're talking about $5 a month, 21, 22 trading days in a month. So do that math. It's pretty darn cheap. But you know what? 20 people just got it for free. And that's even better than the super chats. You guys are paying it forward when you do that. So I want to thank Henry Wasson, 2666 in the chat. Grab those if you can. We appreciate you. It's a great resource. And you get more. We have those educational videos that we do as well, which are going to be in there. We'll drop those on there, some custom emojis, a few other things, highlighted, of course, by that morning note. So I want to shout out to Henry Wasson for those. And as I said, you've got to be in the chat to benefit.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to, how do I hear? I can just, not yet, Andre, here. Hold on a second. Not yet. I'm just going to full screen this. So this is my daughter right now. This is her right here. She's at hockey camp again today, yes, in Canada and everywhere. We've been to Vermont and Minnesota so far this summer. But this is her at a school right now. This is her right here. Just casual. Marissa just sent this. This is the first time I'm looking at it. Okay, a little bit of that. And then a shot. It is what it is. Right there, 11 years old. So I want to say, this is, if you want to know the reason why I'm here, you're looking at it right here, right now. So yeah, shout out there to that one. So we want to say a big shout out to my wife. Thank you for sending that to me, man. It means a lot to me, that is for sure. But yeah, that's her. Shout out to Gia right there. You guys can, see her hopefully at a rink near you. But yeah, okay. So yeah, Joe's got that look there as well. I don't know, Joe, when are you back on the ice? Not for a while. Okay, I was wondering about that one. Okay.
You're running again, though.
Oh yeah, he's big time running.
Yeah.
Hockey's a little bit of a different.
Yeah, of course, it's harder on the knee.
Playing into the sport there a little differently, making those skates work out right there. You need to use more shares, man, to pay for hockey in this country.
For those that don't know, Joe's almost all the way back from that ACL.
Yeah, man, Joe's great. That's no problem. When you're a young, strapping stud like Joe, it's not even a problem to recuperate from that one. I wish I had torn my
It's when you're old.
Instead of the damage that I did. Okay, so Intel's, again, 90, so that's still $1, still making lows right there as well, downside. But yeah, after having 2 boys first, definitely a girl dad right now. So that is 100% the truth right there. But still, was with my elder son this morning, dropped him off at the gym down here, and he's going to be soon to be employed, and very, very proud of him. Just got done school a couple months, I guess a month ago, and is going to be working in some AI space down here in Toronto. So we're really happy for that. He actually got the guys to It's like a home office, so he's gonna be working at like a WeWork place down
nice.
here. So yeah, he's really excited to do that one. All right, so SpaceX.
know the one.
I told him no matter what, you're not trading, my guy. That is for sure. All right, SpaceX to the downside right now. Let's wait to see what happens there. Bid there at 126. Maybe. I forget about maybe. Let's just put a bid down there at 126 because at this point, man, it's stacks on stacks on stacks. I've been having a great morning, and I just don't want to give it back up. So sometimes there is some capital preservation. I think it's 10:30 already. I think some of that makes a little bit of sense to do that. So we will take out some of these shares at some of these levels here as we just we are happy with our day, end the weekend, end the day with positivity, start your weekend on a good note there as well. But hey, man, it's only an hour in.
Well, that's the thing that's getting
so
me.
much more coming.
Yeah, like for me, it's my worst day of the week, but then it's also the only red day of the week. That said, the difference today is usually, like my worst losses will be like a quarter of what the best win. If I look at my 2 best wins this week, like SpaceX right now is a little more than half that, which is more on the positive side. It's like 70% of my best win this week on SpaceX because of the multiple shots. But I'm not going to change the mentality. With this, I'm playing it to VWAP, right? Like obviously, this could go all the way into the low, and it's like, oh, that's a way to get everything back. But it's bull flagging, and to me, if it's going to go all the way to the low, that's multiple entries in. It's playing the lower highs. It's reloading underneath the volume weighted price. It's going from one trade to the next trade to the next trade. Not just I'm going to change the rules and hold this one so that I can make everything back. I'm going to stick to like the way that I work these. And if it forms an uptrend like this, then I want to play it to that VWAP and then look for the lower highs to start to come in. Kind of like we were doing with silver yesterday. Like if it starts to put in that pattern, then we just reload only on the pops off that volume weighted average price. Battle, here, this is battle. I'm not offering till the highs. We played the long in front of VWAP and we're giving it to the prior day low. Sorry, prior day high, which is the current low. Hasn't broken it. So it's just holding underneath. It's holding just above the prior day high and hasn't really done much of anything. USO still upward trending, so that one's still, it's basically still within the parameters, but it's just not squeezing. But USO is still looking pretty strong. Like I said, if USO loses a bid, I would just punch out of battle, but it's still upward trending and it hasn't hit my stop, so I'm going to hold on to it. That's the thing with a squeeze play. You never know how the timing is going to work out on those. It could go at any moment. It could never go at all. I do want to get to some other names. I know we were talking about Twin V a little bit here. It's back underneath that halt price. Looks like it could have another breakdown coming in, unfortunately. So no long opportunity, at least I don't see it yet in V. I want to see it cascade maybe a couple more times if it can. If it halts a couple more times, starts getting down into some interesting levels. But just not yet for VEEE.
Yeah, no pressure yet for that name, and we'll just wait to see what winds up happening there. For me on SpaceX, just a little bit of a different strategy there. I still do have a decent sized position. So once it comes into levels, I'm just going to, like Neil mentioned there, follow rules and take these out and then try to hold on because I do think it's a little foolish. Like it's been bouncing off VWAP, it's been bouncing off these areas. So if you do have the ability to get some out, I'm taking it. So there's another out right there at 125. But, we are talking about the same kind of names here. What's up, Salvador? Right there putting out some messages here. I'm just going to figure out what you put. I'm going to put it on the screen. I haven't even read it. Wow, 3,200 new messages since I last looked, since I last scrolled down on that right there. But there it is right here. What a day it's been. Yeah, you're right about that. To SpaceX short. Yeah, the 125 early break was absolutely huge. There's no doubt about that. That's what sort of buttered the bread on that one. But we're just kind of I'm just right now more like net higher than I was at the lows of this SpaceX trade, Salvador. So even though I've been sitting here for an hour just blah, blah, blahing, we're only now getting back to where we were net-wise on that early move. You got in SpaceX short early, just get out for a break-even trade. Yeah, see, that's the problem. That's what happened to me there, right? We give the money back a little. Don't give it back, but break even, so you only make half of what you could have. Then I got into this Intel short. That's a good one. And by the way now, Intel. Oh boy, no OB, definitely no problem. This is a big trade right here for Intel. And we just shorted it at 96. And where did we get that from, Neil? Nobody would know unless you're a sticky note kind of a guy. And right there it is right there, 96. That's yesterday's Intel, by the way, 102. Today's Intel is somewhere around here. There it is, 96 short on today's note. So far so good there. Apple, though, just got taken out at the highs, which is completely fine there as Apple runs back into our high. Despite all of this, as you just mentioned there, Salvador, Apple still, actually you mentioned SpaceX, Apple is my #1 stock today, P&L wise. And yeah, man, here we go. Are we going to make it all back on SpaceX? Well, if I just take a bid right now, then we're back to flat on SPCX. So let's go and see what winds up happening now. Highest spot today and a great opportunity to go back over to Adara at the big desk.
Just beware, guys. Oil actually pulling back a little bit here, but we are getting some comments here from U.S. Central Commander CENTCOM on the operations yesterday. So this isn't happening now. I think this is just a reflection, but just to let you guys know because it's being released now. Apparently on July 16th, so yesterday, U.S. forces, according to the U.S., successfully destroyed the Shah Bahar Shahid Kalantari port surveillance tower by the Gulf of Oman. So this is apparently used by the IRGC to surveil, according to the U.S. So just be aware, guys, that just occurred, or that announcement just occurred.
Thanks, Adara. I took out SpaceX at that volume-weighted average price. Nice. We're going to look for any pop that holds this trend.
What VWAP? That's not VWAP.
That's VWAP. Yeah, it is.
Oh, I have it as my 50 period. Oh, that's Intel. My bad. Yeah, you're right. I was looking at Intel.
Okay. Well, you know what? It's worth look, this has happened before where like maybe, I could be missing some data in the morning. So it has absolutely happened before, and I know I've gotten out of trades. That's one of the reasons why. Like, I know we show you guys like these nice looking clean white charts, but I'm actually trading off my black charts up here. Like, you'll note that I've got SpaceX. I can drop USO down, and I got, there's silver. There's a shot where you could see all of this. There's battle, right? So I always have those up there. And I've seen where like, oh, wait, one's different from the other, and I want to make sure you get it. That's why we have E-signal as well sometimes. But here's a bounce off VWAP. 126.5, just to finish the thought. 126.5. As this is a bit of a trend down. So I want to see if we can hold underneath there for some opportunities, again, in SpaceX. I don't want to go back over to V because that would be like whatever. We've talked about that. It doesn't really look like much of anything is happening with it. But SK Hynix, if there is like an epicenter for like the memory names and what they're doing, you would say it's going to be SK Hynix over like, say, Micron or SanDisk lately. This looks more bearish than when I look at the Qs. This looks more bearish even than when I look at silver, which I just jumped back into on a trend break. So this could be the place to watch for a better short opportunity instead of what I'm watching. And I got to be able to pivot every once in a while. Like this is contextually failed at the high and is now putting in very distinct and steep lower highs and could lose VWAP. So it might be that SK Hynix is the better one. Did I even pay for locates this morning? I think so. Yeah, I did. SK Hynix could be the one. I just love to see it put in a head and shoulders at 160 or lose the volume weighted average price. I did jump back into SLV because it did a topping tail. I didn't get back in after I got wicked out, and then it did the exact same topping tail again. So I'm like, oh, gotta get it now, and missed 49s, got 39s, and tried to add to it. We're gonna look for just underneath VWAP here if we can grab it.
Yeah, well, we're talking about a lot of the same names here, so let's have a little bit of a broader look right now at some of the S&P 500 names that may be of interest. I mean, pretty, choppy here as we, not choppy in different sectors, but, you got some greens and some reds going on here with the Nasdaq being down right now. Let me just double check, down 1.1%. Wow, it was down 2.5% at one point. The SPY, the ES right now down 0.57. So with all markets right now red, shouldn't say all, oil is up. You're looking back here at some of the names that we like. We made one of our picks today, and they're all the prices that we have are going to lock in at tonight's closing price. So whatever happens today, sort of doesn't really matter. We're just trying to make the picks on the names. So we have Caterpillar there, flattish on the day, Jivanova up. You can see AMAT, a downside play, down 5%. Lam Research also down. We had ASML report earlier this week, and they were sort of flattish on that day, and I think they battled back a little bit yesterday. We'll definitely check it out. And again, this is what I mean. Like, we made J&J a pick yesterday, and it's up today, so whatever. There's Merck as well.
I wanted GE to be down again.
AbbVie as well. GE is a good play, too. I like GE.
I guess
they're BMY, AbbVie, Eli Lilly coming through there.
Sorry, I just wanted to see, is Moderna down again today?
Where is Moderna?
No, never. It doesn't matter.
That's GE Healthcare. Is Moderna even in the S&P 500? I don't even know.
No, it's not.
Okay. So
it was a
find it
Russell
there.
one, probably.
All right, consumer durables. I mean, it's this technology services. We saw Google yesterday on Gemini fears of the delay there for their release, possibly even into, I think it was September, October, which is not great. A couple more months there. Meta, which went way too far, way too fast for Meta. Like, I still kind of think this is a little interesting name that maybe I should get lighter on too. Netflix now down 9%, which was down 11. So Netflix batting back. We definitely have to have a look at Netflix. That's been one that I've sort of forgotten about here today. And then into the financials, not even a great day here either, but they're still holding out okay. Berkshire's up. That's an insurance play, I guess. JP Morgan there, BAC, Wells Fargo. So Goldman, MasterCard, Visa, all downside. Morgan Stanley down. So some banks working out well. There's Robinhood down there, down 4%. So just a pretty good broader look here on the overall market. If you're going to go green side, we talked about healthcare, and now you're looking at energy. So XOM, again, with USO up 3% today, Exxon getting a bump, potential look there. It's been a nice move higher in the oil patch names, and that's for sure, including Valero, as that looks pretty spicy right now. SpaceX trying to make a move back. We did cover some there into VWAP, which is good. We talked about that with Neil there when it hit VWAP. This name, VIVK, was another one of those halting names. Now it's starting to go lower. Potential halt alert there. And then Stack has halted a few times, but now it's not doing much. PLAG, not much going on. And then here's VEEEEE as well.
Still the same.
Not doing a whole heck of a lot. So,
what stock halts three consecutive down halts, insta down halts, and then just holds the same range at the bottom forever? That's why it's like I wanted to be a long on that one. Because if it can't break the lows after 3 consecutive down halts, it's probably a bounce. The reason I was asking about Moderna is because this one's really interesting on the daily chart. This is not one of my picks. I don't even like Moderna that much, but I don't even like Moderna at all. But technically, if you look at the prior high at 58 and then this support at 58 and the 50 period at 58, then that just becomes a good level to watch. And you like good price levels because it gives you a reason to try to get involved. I just think that's more of like a day trade opportunity bouncing, or like maybe a short-term swing kind of level. But it's been downward pressure. It was down 7% yesterday. And when it was C in the afternoon doing the Russell heat map. And it was like Moderna just stood out like a sore thumb as the absolute worst name in there for sure. All right, so just a quick little update. We've talked about a lot of the same name, but one thing we have not talked, we've talked about SpaceX bouncing, the market bouncing, Rocket Lab is bouncing. But one thing to remember, and I said this a bunch of times, and you will get these bounces in downtrends. Rocket Lab has $20 here, $20 there. If it bounced $20 from here, it'd be at 85 and still be following the same pattern down that it has been. So you got to keep in mind, like, these bounces in some of these names have been traps every single time on the pullback. Is this going to be different for Rocket Lab? It's not even back to where we were at 10 o'clock yesterday. And it looks like an absolute rocket ship when you zoom in. So the perspective sometimes when you zoom out might not be as bullish as you think. We just had a look at some sectors. Let's look at some more with Adair.
This is great timing because I just heard a headline that I think is absolutely worth addressing here out of Iran. So this is, again, being reported by Iran state media. But apparently the Iranian army saying that the U.S. is, quote, getting closer to the 0 hour for operations against CENTCOM naval units in the region's water. So Iran more or less threatening here at any moment that there could be an attack against these CENTCOM naval units in Iranian waters. Let's take a look here at the sector board because there's a lot of everything here. There's a lot of strength. There's a lot of weakness. Let's get into it. Strength, you've got health tech. I mean, obviously some exceptions. Intuitive Surgical day one earnings down a whopping 11+%. But a lot of these other names are looking pretty good here, including Abbott Labs continuing to be strong after a fairly solid day one earnings reaction yesterday. You've got health services here, generally green. UMich also strong here in day two. Communications green. Energy minerals green. We just talked about oil stories, so as we know, there are unfortunately continued tensions in the U.S. and Iran, and that's going to be a good look for oil. Utilities to the upside, with the exception of Coca-Cola, of course, with this issue with one of its subsidiaries. there was a breach here. Other than Coke, though, and Monster Energy, a lot of other things are doing quite well. Now let's get to what's weak, because it unfortunately is the largest names in the market, and that's going to be these tech plays. You've got electronic tech here. Lots of weakness. I mean, Micron and SanDisk trying to battle back. GE as well to the upside on earnings day too, but then you've got like NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, Broadcom to the downside. Tech services is a more interesting look. You do have some strength here. In cybersecurity, Palo Alto Networks up 3%, CrowdStrike up 1.5%, and Oracle up, though, not as much as it was earlier, but still to the upside here for ORCL, so we'll give a hats off to that. But you do have weakness in the likes of Netflix and earnings day one. Apple have been down another 3.5%. DNS, Cadence Design, they're down 11.5%. Meta down 4%. Microsoft and Google red, so a lot of big tech weakness today, without a doubt. Back to you.
Clawing back, though. There might be weakness, but it's clawing back. Like, that's the thing. Like, well, some things are clawing back. You have to remember that if there was relative strength in some of the mags, then when the chips go back up, then you could rotate back out of the mags. And unfortunately for Meta in here, that's not a good thing. One thing to also keep in mind, we haven't talked too much about it here today. I don't think we've even looked at like a Palantir or a Microsoft. The IGV, that's a bull flag. That's a threaten to break downside on said flag. So yeah, you are having a nice little rebound in the market, but we're starting to run into the skids just a little bit. I don't know if we're going to get, I mean, SpaceX is getting real close. I know we're talking about some of the same stuff before, but it's what I'm watching. There's that trend line. It's pressing back into like the top end of the trade and bouncing VWAP. So this would be like the next available curl. So I'm going to try to slide in here at 126. You guys can see high, lower high. Of course, once it makes a topping tail, a bunch of other people try to sell too. So sometimes you get fill, sometimes you don't. I'm just going to stick around here at the 26 level, see if we can't pick up that fill, give it to the top end of the range, and try to rinse and repeat that bad boy. There was a name I just turned to Sean and said, this is getting out of hand. Anyone seen Boston Scientific? This is the most, this is the stock that doesn't get a lot of talk. It is one of the worst charts out there on the weekly. But it's also a bottom, it's also a double bottom on the same weekly chart here. Double bottom and a potential breakout. It hasn't happened yet, but that looks like one heck of a swing opportunity if you can break out on the weekly. It just has to get above 47 bucks here. Yuck, yuck, and more yuck. But I mean, come on. We talk about stocks that go up too fast. This sucker looks like it's primed for at least a dead cat bounce.
I would agree. I mean, we talked about, I remember I was like, oh, BSX, I don't know if I keep saying the wrong symbol, but it was the right one, of course, Boston.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Just noticing right now, I just put a bid at 80. This came right into the 200 period moving average of 65, and should have been sitting there. We talked about, sitting at these 200 period moving averages, and then again, okay, we just got it. Then again at VWAP, so we'll sit a little bit ahead of that and get the 80s right now as a nice pullback in for SPCX. Yeah, we just did a little cover there on the market, and I did want to show you, we are making some picks now going to be due at the end of the day. So if I actually even just zoom this in a little bit, maybe we can just go over what some of us have chosen so far right here. So we can, I don't even know where Obi is. We can try to see if he has any new picks coming through. So those are old ones. Joe has, these are his old picks as well, but he's going to stick with them. Just look over here. Everything over here, other than, this is the sector that they're in. Don't worry about the prices for now. Those are all going to be adjusted in it tonight. So, oh, wait a second. No, these aren't the right ones. Where are the new ones? Summary?
Are you sure it's wrong?
Yeah, because I had Marvell. I was just looking at this. I don't have Marvell coming up. Okay, I'll sort that out because I was just looking at it. I don't want to show it if it's not going to be right. You know what? I probably need to refresh it maybe. But I was just looking. Oh, there's a season button. Oh my God, there's so much to do over here. All right, halfway picks. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so here we go. So now I'm going to zoom this back in. Wow, Fabian really built this up. Yeah, there's something down here you can see last year's. By the way, right now, SpaceX tanking, Intel absolutely tanking, man. The tank is real right now in this market. But let's just zoom in a little bit so we can have a look at those picks. And you guys can let us know in the chat right now what you think of some of these picks. So that's why Obi's, we don't even have his new ones yet. So here's Randy. Randy's going to go with SanDisk, ExxonMobil, and NVIDIA. This is for the second half of the year. So, wow. Both these trades now, Intel and SpaceX, both $2 in the money. As the, you know what, maybe we'll do this in a minute. The market's coming right back in pretty good, man. There's SpaceX. There it is, 125. We get a VWAP fill as well. So shrapnel everywhere. And then here comes Intel to the downside as well. So we'll take another bid here if we can get it into the 80s again for Intel as that's fallen back in. It's not even like the market's bleeding that much. I just went over and changed like as if, man, I put my AMD offer at 495. Okay, I put that in the pre-market. I told you guys about that. It got to 493.50, so I just adjusted it back into 490. So if we do get a little bit of a bump here today, I do want to take out a quarter of my Intel position that I have left. So, of my AMD positions. That's going to be something to get rid of. But here we go, man. SpaceX, now $1.50. We'll see what ends up happening. I'm going to take one more bid here at 125 if we can get it. And then we'll wait to see if it finally breaks below. There it is. Did we just get it? No. Breaks below this 125 now for INTC. We'll see if that one gives us a capabilities there on SpaceX. Sorry. Yeah, Intel's trying to do its best here to make a move. We did not get that fill down there, so let's punch a little bit here at 30 and now wait to see what winds up happening. But yeah, we can, you have any new positions? I do want to show these portfolios.
I just DRAM kind of finally made a topping tail at the next level. So we played it underneath the volume weighted price. It broke that. It came to the next resistance level. If it gets to 54.5, that'd be the next place I take it. But there's your false break of the high. There's the short underneath. And I have the... That season button doesn't work for me, but anyways, you have it up there.
Yeah,
so
it's working for me.
I gave Fabian my last pick, which if you were paying attention, I did say out loud, but we can save it till the afternoon.
No, hopefully it's in here.
No, I don't know if he's done it already.
He might have. You guys pretty
I just gave it to him now.
Okay, we'll see if it's in there. If it is, I might have to refresh it. Okay, so Randy, SanDisk, here's Fabian, TSM,
How'd you make this?
so Taiwan Semis, ASML, Broadcom, Micron, and Kausha Holdings. What is this name, Fabian? This is a chip name as well? Yeah, I know, Japanese company. Yeah, okay, chip name. So, wow, this guy, chip game. All right, where's Fabian thinking the second? Yeah, I just need some dip now. You should add some, bless you, you should add some Chipotle to this one there, then you can get it. Oh, what? I went right back here again. No, we got to go to this, the season. I think it just reset there on my season because I didn't even click this. All right, halfway picks, here we go. So, Adair did make an adjustment. Yeah, I know you made two. All right, this thing is not scrolling anymore.
I am prepared for people to completely lambast me and throw me over the coals for one of my picks, and I don't care. It's all honestly, in terms of my level of for it, it's at the bottom of my personal. Okay, I'll just say it. I went short Intel, and I think it's probably the one that has the least likelihood of working, and I'll say that openly. But I will give my reasons for it later. I'm short Intel, and I don't hate it. I love it, but I don't hate it.
Okay, I've taken out, I guess mine are not updated yet either. I've taken out Micron. I put in Caterpillar and J&J into that as well. The chat, we're going to figure out what you guys are going to do later on. Oh, Joe added Google as well. So what a surprise there as I make that announcement yesterday. Joe hopping on board. No, I'm just joking. I know Joe loves Google. And there's AMAT. We can double up our picks. I love the fact that we have our symbols here right now. Adair, the one with some shorts. Andre, Embraer, yeah, I know, yeah, Brazilian company. Come on, guy. Over there. Eli Lilly, Deere, and Amazon. A lot of chalk plays there. I like that with advanced micro devices. I'm Oppo on that one, of course. Tiffany with NVIDIA, Apple, Taiwan, Semi. So again, big plays in that space. Neil goes with financials, AbbVie, Warner Brothers, Robinhood, and then he can tell you his next pick. Brendan, I think they're the same ones, Tesla, CG, and IREN. No updates there. Sharif is going short on Netflix, and then it just reset itself again there. Yeah, so I don't know. Okay, this just keeps on getting updated.
Speaking of Netflix.
But we'll figure out that portfolio tracker and go through it. But there's a couple plays. Let us know what plays you guys would have if you were in there, trading with us. So let us know, and we can try to put those ones into that tracker as we go. But yeah, I like that Joe's on the Google there with me. That should be a good one, despite its recent move down. Like this space, I think it's kind of like, I was going to maybe even add the Qs instead of Google, but I still think Google is pretty good. I'm a little nervous about the report, coming through. With a lot of these names still hovering around some vulnerable levels. Like you could still lose this 200 period on Google, and we have reports on Wednesday. So we wanted to get these in before, the major earnings replays come through. And of course, even though Sharif is going to be short Netflix, everything goes in as of tonight's prices, right? So yeah, all right, let's go back over to the desk and see what Adara's up to.
Who cares what I'm up to, Sean? Let's talk about what the U.S. dollar is up to. The U.S. dollar is actually up today for the second session in a row, though a little bit of a topping tail candle here for the DXY. We did bounce here after breaking below that key 105 support level on Wednesday. We then bounce off of 100.37. And again, right now, kind of holding that bounce. We'll have to wait and see what happens. We have to talk about some economic data. Just to go over this economic data we got at 10 a.m. here, University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment preliminary print for July, well above estimates, 54.4 versus 51 expected and 49.5 prior. 1-year inflation expectations and the 5-year inflation expectations here showing that inflation's not, I guess, increasing in terms of a level of concern here, because 1-year inflation expectation 4.2% below the estimate of 4.5% and the prior print of 4.6%. University of Michigan 5-year inflation expectation here as of preliminary for July 26th, that's going to be 3.3% in line with the estimate and the prior print. Let's take a look here at the CME FedWatch tool for the July 2026 meeting. That's going to be, guys, in less than 2 weeks now. 90% chance that rates will get held, 10% chance of a hike by 25 basis points. If you take a look here at the probabilities, we're still seeing that September hike and then not much else. Back to you.
Yeah, Sharif just coming back here, and I was like, yeah, big time recovery in the market, but it's trying to lose a little bit right here. And there's been a few, we've talked about a few of the small cap trades to look at here today. And I'm going to get some of those.
Keep an eye on V, Sharif.
Right now, yeah. Well, V's not really doing anything.
Well, I just think if it doesn't break the low, there's only one place to go.
Yeah, higher?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
X2C. X2C, you've been sending a lot of super chats. Thank you. You thought Roblox is a no-brainer for the summer WTH. Well, you know what? I don't. What made you?
I made that play a couple of years ago.
What made you think? I'm just curious. What made you think Roblox was a no-brainer? I'm just out of morbid curiosity. Like my daughter still absolutely loves Roblox. She's again, and her friends too. It's just like they're all over it. They love the product. It's just, I don't know. It hasn't been able to get out of its own way. The good news here, I'll give you good news. Reverse head and shoulders setting up on this. There's your smiley face, rounded bottom. As long as this holds the 50 period and 45, I see a little bit of a rebound play. I think we have like 0.8 or 1% or something, and my daughter's college fund is in this, because I was like, hey, we'll put 1% in something that you like. And you start naming like public companies, and like the only thing she even recognized was Roblox. So like, what are you gonna do? That's the one that she knew. I'm like, yeah, why not? It's 0.8% or 1%, so it's not a heck of a lot. But I do like this rounded bottom that we see in Roblox today, or right now on the daily. But unfortunately, that's just been trending down all year long. You're getting a trend break, and I'll steal something from Brian Shannon, which I always say every time I see it. Downward sloping 200 period moving average, temper your expectation on bounces, because the overall trend has been in the other way. So a great target on any long in here to me is in that 70 to 75 range of the 200 period moving average.
Yeah, we have a Gates of Hell request.
That's something that saved me some money.
Mr. Westermeyer, I saw you there in the chat. You want the Gates of Hell? You got it right there. And he wants it for Intel. So, yeah, man, I mean, it's unbelievable that once again, on the note today, we wrote down 96 short. We got it twice right there. Now it's down to 93.70. So, good move there for Intel. We really hit this one yesterday. My P&L number one today we're going to go 3 for 3, but Apple right there is going to be my best trade of the day so far, as that one really fell in. We took $3 there and change on Apple. So that was a really good one. Then Intel's now $2 and SpaceX. This is going to be position pending. If we flatten it right now, we'll be flat on the day. But we're looking to get a breakdown through here. So I think that is going to happen. So, SpaceX does have the chance to take the crown today for top stock. But right now it's Apple and Intel right behind it for me. Let's see if we do get that breakdown now. So I'm bidding right here 80s. So hopefully we can get that. That's right where this level is. And then if that break happens, we'll be sitting right here at our next level. And I'm just not smart enough to trade, to figure out exactly where this is going to go. So I'm just going to use some of these levels as indicators. So if we come back in, we get one more out there. We've gotten a lot out. Then we'll take another piece right there, and then maybe leave it for 123. So there it is. Yes, sir. Let's go, man. That's the face slapper right there, as now it's coming back in for SpaceX. So far, so good on this name. But more to come, right? I mean, you never know. It's still pretty early. It's almost 11 o'clock. Unfortunately, we don't have the what's for lunch, and we don't have the menu this week, so I don't know what's going on over there. But breakfast pretty disappointing today. We'll see what winds up happening with the lunch. I think it'll be good. I think your pick is finally going to come through. You've been saying sandwiches every single day this week.
But I literally I just say that because I want it every day.
I'm hoping.
It's basically the same thing as me saying the Buffalo Bills are going to win the Super Bowl every single year.
Well, no, there's a chance for sandwiches. I mean, we have to be completely real with that one. So, well, have we gotten sandwiches before in your life? Answer that question.
That was unnecessary.
No, but I'm just saying, one thing is, it's like he said it's like asking for sandwiches is like asking the Bills to make a Super Bowl. And I was just saying we actually, one is,
win a Super Bowl.
A little bit,
The Bills have made the Super Bowl.
It's like Italy still got 4 World Cups. You know what I'm saying? So I'm upset they're not in the World Cup now. But at least I can remember 25 years ago, Italy will be back at some point. Apparently that coach of England there is a problem over there.
He's on the hot seat.
He is definitely signed until the next Euro. He may not have that job for very long.
Look, man, I don't think
over there. So.
I didn't agree with the decision making either, but I'm not an expert in football. It's just like my layman's brain is just I really hate any time in sports that you do something to get up or to take a lead or to have success and you veer from that to get defensive, and it's just
that's why fantasy football is kind of tough because a team gets down, and then all of a sudden, like every player on the other team can all of a sudden, like they could be having the worst game ever, and then they just throw some bombs. Next thing you know, like some receiver has like 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, and their team lost 54-12 or something like that. So.
Remember Xavier Worthy in the Super Bowl?
He got a little.
Like he did absolutely nothing.
Last-second touchdown.
And then all of a sudden, this guy he had like 106. The final tally was like 160 yards and a touchdown, some nonsense. But really, he was a complete non-factor. It was meaningless. But that's because the other team took the foot off the gas. They could. They were up like a bajillion points. But in general, you shouldn't do that. The market is, like I said, the market is coming back in. We lost on our first DRAM trade only about a minute to go. So quickly just review through. That's lost in the first DRAM. Then it came to our level, so we let it get back into resistance, and then it does a reversal here. Look in VWAP, which is 51.5. We'll look to see if we can grab that as we head back into said downside. And one of the reasons why, for obvious reasons, if DRAM's going down, SK Hynix is losing VWAP, so we like that. And Micron heading down to VWAP. So DRAM is more resembling Micron, but if SK Hynix loses the bid for good under VWAP, then that turns DRAM into a hold through the volume weighted average price. I'm going to watch pretty closely what's going on at SK Hynix. If that continues to lose the bid rapidly, then I think it's a hold through VWAP into some of the lows. Still going to have the eyeballs. I'll give that V a chance because, like the way I see it, if you flush 3 times halt down and don't break the low, look at it hold the bottom after 3 consecutive down halts. I still think there's a potential breakout here in V, but the volume is kind of crap right now. It needs to pick up, bust 44, maybe take it through VWAP with a 44 stop, something along those lines. I'm sure Sharif will be on that, but for now, like what we're seeing in DRAM, we'll be able to get that one hopefully back. Hasn't been the best warning, but at least this one has a chance to get back down for us. SLV, same thing. And then Battle, still offering for the tops. It never broke the prior high. The prior day. Yeah, prior day's high. That bounced almost cleanly off of it. I'm offering in front of 180. I'm offering in front of 190. I'm long at 173. So I'm not really trying to take profit till it gets to that 1-to-1.
All right, man, as we leave you, man, we are $5.50 in the money now, including SpaceX is just tanked. So we get that fill that we wanted to. We're now $3 in the money here, and we're $2.50 in the money on Intel. As Intel coming right into some more key levels. So guess what we do, man? We take it out on VWAP there for Intel. That's a $3 winner there. All on the posted notes. And there it goes. Wow. I mean, SpaceX now just drops below 124, and we get that fill as well. So this is just like, what a dream SpaceX has been there since its IPO, man. It's really been quite an account changer, that is for sure. Thank you for watching us. It's 11:01 right now. And as we always say, man, like, if we do not go over to Joe as fast as possible and let him go past 2 o'clock,
it's a problem.
It's a problem. We've actually had meetings about this.
Yes.
He likes going past 2 and he likes getting on before 11:01. So right now, Joe, I apologize, man. We're a little bit over time.
Give that man
so let's get going. Good day. We'll make some money here in the midday. Let's go back over to Joe and Sharif. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And thank you, everybody, for all of your continued support on the show, right? I mean, over 580,000 subscribers, everybody on TikTok, everybody eating these cookies. We want to say big shout out to all of you as well. I think Randy, how many cookies today, Randy? Oh, Randy's watching YouTube videos, so don't worry about it. We'll talk to him later. All right, see you, everybody. We'll see you soon.